Building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J-Cal. His name is DKM. We are the Alliance Guys, and we're here to talk some NWA wrestling. So how y'all doing today?
I'm alive.
It's good. It's good to be alive.
I'm trying to keep my computer from rebooting because it just said an update's been installed and we need to restart your computer. So I'm telling it not now.
Did I ever tell you the story about my last phone?
No.
So I used to have a Samsung Galaxy S23, which when I bought it was brand new. It was the top of the line. It was had all the bells and whistles.
That might be what I have right now.
And about 6 months later, they came out with the S24, which is fine. Didn't matter. That's okay. I was still happy with my my phone. And then as the S25 came out, they gave me one of those, hey, you got to upgrade things. You're not upgrade, but your software needs to update. And I've updated my phone 100 times. No big deal. I let it update, and it bricked the phone completely. Like it wouldn't power on, or it would power on and then shut off. And I did all the manual resets and I tried to get it going. It just brick. And so I ended up having, that's my business phone. Like that's how I do all of my business. So I literally had to go buy a brand new phone that day. And that was like a very expensive purchase.
I hope all your stuff backed up.
Not as much as I would have liked, but it is what it is. You know, you make the best of what you can. The worst thing is a lot of my communication with my customers is through text message. I like it to do that because then I have like a record of what we discussed.
Right.
All that was gone. So it's like now it was their word versus mine. And it's like, oh, great. Fantastic. And that was right before we went to Scotland last year. So like I needed a phone or else I was toast. So anyway, I want to say what's up to the folks in the chat over here on we're broadcasting on multiple platforms. I do see we got Brandon Davey, and we've got Demarion Rice. I haven't seen you in a while, Demarion. We got Biscuit, we got Ben, all of our good pals on the on TikTok, and then over on the other platform we've got Double D, Devin down. I think I just had a stroke there. Double D going, "Ayo!" And then he's chanting your name, DKM, DKM, DKM. And Ben, thanks for the hearts and the heart me and the flowers. Appreciate that. Then Noob's in the chat. Good evening, Noob. I think we're doing all right, except for the minor stroke that I just had, I think. And
try not to let that happen again.
It just happens when it happens. Ben, I think you're new to the live stream, and if you're not, and I missed you before, well, thanks for hanging out. Demarion, you don't ever have to apologize for not being on my lives or our lives. I'm just glad you're here right now. Hope you're doing good, man. You've been busy. I hope it's the good kind of busy. And are you eating potato chips, DK?
I'm finishing some crackers.
Oh, okay, because it sounded like Ben, we're gonna get to that in just a short few moments, but thank you for asking. Before the show started, DKM and myself were talking about the NWA and this week's episode of Power, and like we said, hey, how did you feel about it? And we both agreed that the wrestling was pretty good. Sometimes the show itself could be a little taxing. I didn't think it was too bad this week. In fact, I thought it was pretty good. And we'll talk a little bit more about that.
I have a very important question.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Were there any skits? Because my mind has blocked them out and from the past, or I would go do something else, but I might see the beginning or the end of one. I don't remember any. So were there any, or
there wasn't a skit in that we had like a big drawn out thing, but we did have a Dr. Victor promo where he was just talking on the phone. And I mean, it was easily avoidable. It was not very good.
I probably thought that was commercial.
It kind of looked like it might have been a commercial for Valtrex. If you have herpes, use this medication. But it was the Dr. Victor that character itself is kind of creepy. We'll get into this when we discuss Power at length, but it was very weird, and it's kind of funny. It reminded me of a skit from a radio station I used to listen to, but I can't really explain it in good detail. So we'll just say that. What we're going to talk about is who's over in the NWA right now. Like, who do we consider as the viewing audience is over? But before we get to that, and before we get to Power, I do want to give a shout out to some of the talents out of your neck of the woods, DKM. And I'm talking about NWA Texas. Kind of the big news this week is we had a infusion of NWA Texas talent in Pro Wrestling Noah. And what's interesting, and I'm not saying that there's some greater things going on here, but Pro Wrestling Noah currently has somewhat of a working relationship with the WWE. We've seen Charlie Dempsey go over to Pro Wrestling Noah and have some matches there. Charlie Dempsey from NXT. We also know that Omos was also in Pro Wrestling Noah for a cup of coffee. He even won the tag team titles there, but vacated it, was not able to defend the titles before the WWE called him back. And then they've also had this kind of weird relationship with AAA in the past, where a lot of it's maybe not a relationship with AAA, but the AAA talent, guys like Daga, ended up signing with Pro Wrestling Noah last year before the WWE purchase, and had been spending a lot of time working in Pro Wrestling Noah. In fact, just in the last year, I guess last 2 years, Galeno Dalmal, who competes for Crash and has done matches with AAA, he's a former Noah national champion. Daga, former AAA World Cruiserweight Champion and AAA Latin America Champion, even challenged for the NWA World Heavyweight Champion against Tyrus, is a former Global Honor Crown Champion for Pro Wrestling Noah, as a 2-time junior heavyweight champion and a current junior heavyweight tag team champion. We also have seen the Good Brothers, who are NWA adjacent. They've been competing on a couple of the NWA cards as of late. They've been competing with Pro Wrestling Noah. And then somebody in my backyard and here in California, Titus Alexander, who wrestles more in Northern California with West Coast Pro Wrestling. He's currently the hardcore Noah champion. And I'm just saying this to say that there's a lot of Gaijin talent currently competing from North America in Pro Wrestling Noah. But we could add a few more names to that list by way of the Sonny Ono Chosen One contest that I guess that happens in Texas. And it's interesting because they had this competition, and I believe that Chase Emery was the talent who won it. Now, Chase Emery was out of, I believe, South Carolina and regularly competes for One Fall Wrestling and AML. Not really anything to do with the NWA, but the other two talents who did show up are the current NWA Texas champion, Izzy James, and the former NWA Texas junior heavyweight champion, Soda Pop Hendricks. Did you hear about this, DK?
I follow Soda Pop on Facebook, so I saw some pictures from it.
And I did too. That's where I found out about this, and then I started diving into it. Now, first of all, this is cool, right? I know that they didn't go to Japan as a NWA Texas faction. It's not like they're a group or anything like that. They just happen to be there. But I think it's, because the competition was happening in Texas, that obviously they were seen by the right people. Sonny Ono, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tokyo Monster Kahagas, and Perry Saturn are part of the selection committee that is finding these talents that basically getting these opportunities to wrestle in Japan. And, during the competition, there was no guarantee on which promotion they would get to work, but happens to be Pro Wrestling Noah, which again, that's a big deal. Pro Wrestling Noah right now, many consider to be the top promotion in Japan because of New Japan kind of falling off with a lot of the talent, being poached from AEW, and All Japan Pro Wrestling and the Triple Crown, although it's still very popular in Japan, doesn't really have a lot of crossover appeal here in the United States. Pro Wrestling Noah has in the past featured a lot of Gaijin talent, a lot of guys who had been in the WWE, a lot of guys who went to the WWE had been with Pro Wrestling Noah. And, again, that partnership that you see some of the WWE talent appear for Pro Wrestling Noah. So I think it's kind of a cool landing spot for these talents. And, Soda Pop Hendricks, who we spoke to at the Crockett Cup in Forney, Texas. At least I got to speak to him. And I know he was very ambitious looking for his opportunities within the NWA. Hasn't had a ton of opportunities on Power, but the last time he did wrestle for Power was at the 77th anniversary show, the Signature Live event, and he lost. He lost to Danger Ross. And I think he's also supposed to be part of these TV tapings that happened in December at the Tampa TV tapings. But he's a former junior heavyweight champion. He was part of the unification match that took the Dog Pound Championship Wrestling Championship and the Texas Style Wrestling Junior Heavyweight Championship and unified them. But right now he is not the champion, but he is still very much an active part of the NWA. But, achieving his dreams in Japan, he's mentioned on multiple occasions that was a goal for him. And to get there, I think is a pretty big deal. On the other side, you have Izzy James, who became NWA Texas champion last year on May 25th when he defeated Maverick. He's defended the title outside of Texas a handful of times, in Bentonville, Arkansas, in Tennessee, and for Joe Kazana Promotions, for WLW, and even in Ontario, Canada. So he's made the rounds with this Texas championship. And although he didn't he's not wearing the Texas title out there in Pro Wrestling Noah, it's still pretty cool to see. NWA talents getting these opportunities. Do you agree? You're muted.
Well, if I can get off mute, I always think it's exciting when indie guys, and especially local indie guys, get the chance to travel and go somewhere and hone their skills against, a different type of wrestling in different style. And so, yeah, I think it's a good thing for them, and hopefully it makes them more valuable in the eyes of people who make big decisions in places.
Well, and it's funny. As I'm talking about Izzy James, I just got a notification on Facebook about Izzy James. So let me see what this says. Might have some late breaking news for you. I don't know. Didn't pop up. Anyways, so yeah, it's a pretty cool. To me, I think, like you said, getting these opportunities usually kind of enhances the talent. Soto Pop Hendricks has been featured on a lot of NWA programming in the past, but always kind of in that enhancement role. We never have really got to see him get bigger opportunities, and maybe this kind of exposure will help open up some eyes to what he's been doing. And you compound this with what Talos has been doing in All Japan Pro Wrestling. It feels like there's a lot of at least recognition for NWA talent in Japan, where Talos recently challenged for the All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown Championship against Kento Miyahara, and then he's currently one half of the All Japan Asian Tag Team Champions. So it's been pretty exciting, I would say that. We're still waiting for Jaden to join us here on the show, and I did want to point that out, though. Again, I think it's a pretty cool deal that the Pro Wrestling Noah did select two of the talents from NWA Texas to be a part of this journey with them. And I don't know if it was a one-off or we're going to see them appear on multiple matches. They did do the live stream. If you subscribe to it, I think it's called the Pro Wrestling Universe. You would have to just double check on the Google and look that up. But I think it's very impressive to see these guys get that opportunity. I know DKM he's here on the screen, but he just mentioned he's going to step away for a minute. So I'll just minimize him here so you guys can see my face. Oh, he just dropped off anyways. Screw you, man. All right, well, then we'll do this because I like that better. Let me see here. Okay, cool. The other big thing that we should note is, like last week, due to the inclement weather, that the NWA Joe Kazana Promotions event that was scheduled to happen on the 31st was postponed until March because of the inclement weather that they're experiencing out really all across the country, everywhere but here in the Southern California area, which I don't complain about at all, but it kind of sucks for everybody else who is dealing with the weather right now. And I don't know that they'll be the last ones, but hopefully, the weather will lend itself to some better times for the NWA and its talent base. I'm just going to go to some of the notes that are in the chat right now. Willie Bowen already answered the question. I said, earlier in the show, who is over in the NWA? Willie says Billy Silas Mason. I don't disagree with that. Ben says Brian Idol. Ben, I don't know that I would agree with you necessarily on that, but hey, sure. Willie said, hey, you missed my joke, Jake. Willie, I get to your joke whenever I see it, and I saw it right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Tyrus joke of the week is Tyrus's biopic is called Tyrus, the man behind the knife and fork and the dinner plate. Because you see, Tyrus is a very large fella. If you don't know who Tyrus is a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And most of us regretfully inform you that he was the man to beat Trevor Murdoch for that title. His short run as NWA World Champion came to conclusion when EC3 defeated him at the NWA 75th anniversary show. And lo and behold, we have friend of the show, Mr. Jaden, joined. I wasn't expecting that, Jaden. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. This is the February logo for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators.
It's K in as they say in Spanish, que romantico.
Well, dog is a heartbreaker for all the wrestling promotions that are trying to follow us.
Yeah, I agree. What I know you were out some schmoozing, some new contacts and everything today. How has your day been? Productive?
It was pretty well. I had both school and I did I was part of the Chamber of Commerce of Southern New Jersey, and I made some contacts, made some new people, made some contacts that were also helping when I graduate. So it's nice. I did a double duty, I guess. I said duty. And yeah, I did what I needed to do and made some contacts, and hopefully that leads to the future of things for both Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators and, more importantly, my pocketbook.
Real quick, I wanted to
my wallet. I know, that's so cool.
Guys, the whole toy thing at Ross is real. I was shocked. The first time I heard about getting action figures at Ross, I was like, all right, let me go check. And it was crap. And I was like, well, this sucked. But then I went, and it was crazy how much good stuff they had. And I bought that Demona from the Gargoyles for literally $13, $12. And I was very excited about that.
Yes.
And I know Jaden
Stone by day, warriors by night.
That was
they were frozen in stone for over 1,000 years, but here in Manhattan, they live again. I'm sorry.
That was actually not very bad, considering that. I mean, I haven't really watched it in maybe about 5 years because I used to watch it on Disney Plus back in the day. But that was pretty good, impressive.
Yeah, I love Gargoyles, and I mean David Keith. Is it David Keith or Keith David? I always get that messed up.
David Keith.
But David Keith, yeah, David Keith was awesome, and then Demona was done by Marina Sirtis. It was basically a Star Trek alumni television show. After a while, Xanatos was Jonathan Frakes, and
yeah, that's true. He was.
Yeah, and there was a lot of Star Trek alumni. Worf, Cisco, O'Brien, Uhura, you name it in Star Trek, there have been that. And then, of course, let's not forget, what was her name? Detective Maza, what was her first name?
You know, I can't
think of it. Yeah, I know. But anyway, she did play a bit role in a Star Trek television show on Deep Space Nine, but she was did a lot of things. My favorite thing she did was actually in a show called Eureka. And she looks a lot like her character, by the way.
I never watched Eureka, but I remember the show. It's funny. Our friend Ben says, I only saw a Darby Allin figure at Ross for $3. I think that's still too much to pay for a Darby Allin figure. I mean, unless you like the guy, in which case go for it. But that one would have stayed on the shelf for me. I think DKM's still having technical issues, but if DKM...
Was it Lisa?
What's that?
I'm kind of sort of here.
Oh, okay. You've got this weird thing going on, but hey, if you can hear us, that's cool.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm on a phone at the moment, but
all right.
Hopefully when I be back to my computer in, about 10 minutes.
We'll make.
Was it an update?
Oh, it's a long story.
Okay. My phone updated right before I got on, so I had to make sure the Google downloaded first, so in case it didn't just cut me off in the middle. And that took 10 minutes. I was like, I signed on, and they're like, "Oh, you have an update." Okay, and boom, it just updated.
Nice. Well,
but with the Google update, you have to make sure to do that first because you never know what's going to happen if you do that. You mess that up.
Well, I was telling DK, I think right as the show started, I had a pretty decent phone. In fact, the last time I saw you, I had that phone was a Samsung Galaxy, or I guess 2 times before. Had a Samsung Galaxy S23, and it was brand new when I bought it. It was a very cool phone. I very much enjoyed it. Did a lot of cool stuff with it. And like 6 months later, the S24 came out. Again, not a big deal. Then the 25 came out, and my phone straight bricked. They gave there was an update, and my phone just crashed, and I could not restore it. I did the manual resets, everything I could. Nothing would work. And I even reached out to them, and they said there's nothing they could do about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's nothing you could do about it? Well, it's not a new phone anymore. It's out of the warranty. So I literally had to go buy a brand new phone, and I was very disappointed with that.
I have the S26. I don't know. I lost count. But yeah, we always have to be careful when you're doing an update. If you mess that up, your phone will brick, and not much they can do about that. You could completely, if you knew how to, you completely wipe it and do it from scratch, and then but it's not easy things to do. And the one thing you definitely want to make sure you don't do is lose your power button.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is now, like, it would not hold a charge, and then it would crash. And so, like, I started putting it on a what are those called, the wireless chargers, and it would charge, but then still wouldn't turn on. So anyway, I gave up on that.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah. So Jaden, we were just talking before you came on the show. We were talking about the. Did you see that a couple of the NWA Texas talents have recently appeared for Pro Wrestling Noah?
Yes, because you put it in the chat that we had.
That's kayfabe, brother. You are someone who helps select talent for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. You go out there and scout people. Seeing an established American talent get these opportunities for Pro Wrestling Noah, does that add value to you as a scout? Does that make you more interested in using these talents or putting that information on to Dr. Lord Zirconium, who does the actual booking? I mean, what is it? How does that work for you when you see a talent, who's made their name in the U.S. but gets an opportunity to do something internationally?
Any talent willing to travel, first of all, has a leg up on anybody, in my opinion. Go around learning different places. Every territory, every state, every country, every planet you go to has their own way of doing things. Dimension, I'll go to that. You have their own way of doing things, and you learn, if you work these different places, you learn what's successful where you work isn't necessarily successful other places. So by learning in different places, different territories, different promotions, different fans, different wrestlers, you grow as a performer, as an athlete, as a professional wrestler. And it's something great aspect. Going in Japan, it doesn't have the same cachet as it used to. Japan, thanks to in my opinion, thanks to the sharing of talent of Japan, ruined Japan, because it used to be every wrestler promotion had their own talent, and that's what you saw. It was cool seeing all these dream matches, but then nobody became special, because why go see him in Noah when you can see him in New Japan? Why go see him in 01 if you can go see him in All Japan? And eventually everything became very, very muddied. Yeah. Everybody always likes these dream matches, and it was great seeing American dream matches in Japan, but the Japanese talent and the wrestlers that went back and forth, in my opinion, ruined Japanese wrestling. I'm sure Dodie is probably going to be upset at me for saying that, but I 100% believe it. The downfall of Japanese wrestling was everybody wrestling wrestling all these different territories and never becoming special. And that's why a lot of the wrestlers don't really feel as special as, say, the Great Muta or Shinya Hashimoto or Akira Nogami or Jushin Liger or any of the wrestlers who were very specific, Misawa, Kenta Kobashi. They were very specific to their particular promotions. And eventually, there was separation and stuff. But it just didn't feel it doesn't feel like the Japanese talent are as big and as important. Muta was something special, and when Kensuke Sasaki came to United States, it felt like something special. A lot of these talents, they go nuts and they do all their flippy stuff, but they're always overshadowed now by the American Gaijin. so much now that even the ones that are considered the absolute best, they still don't seem to have that cachet and that star power and that ability to just feel larger than life that they used to. That said, the Japanese wrestling is still completely different than here in the United States, and some cases the talent levels is higher. I don't really like dropping somebody on their neck and doing the dangerous stuff that they did. But nowadays, that's modern professional wrestling in the United States anyway. So I guess it's a moot point. It's still great to see them going out and perfecting their craft outside of the United States and becoming a global force, a international superstar. That's great to anybody looking to promote that talent, to have them learn and grow and work a different audience and evolve their style to become great everywhere they go, not just in a specific location. So make it shorter, yes.
we saw Talos, former NWA US Tag Team Champion, not once but twice with Daisy Kill. Also, have gained a lot of success with All Japan Pro Wrestling, part of the tag team. I think the All Asian Tag Team Champions, and then even challenging Kento Miyahara for the Triple Crown Championship. Do you think when Talos comes back to the NWA, if he comes back to the NWA, they're going to acknowledge that and treat him as a bigger deal, or do you think it'll be the status quo for Talos when he returns?
I haven't seen if Talos has developed in-ring as well as, his potential has. As a guy that size, if he can develop as an in-ring performer, that's great for him. And the benefit is for him, if he develops to an in-ring performer, other places might start paying attention to him and he might get bigger opportunities. With the NWA, I don't have as much confidence in the creation and the use of Talos because there's a lot of people on their roster that they don't tend to utilize at their greatest capability anyway. So to answer your question, they should, but will they? I don't have confidence in that.
That's fair. Now, we were talking before you came on a little bit about, kind of the core concept of what we're going to talk about tonight. And that's who's over in the NWA right now. Like, what is the driving force in the National Wrestling Alliance? And I'm curious as to what both of your guys' opinion on who is over right now. I mean, I think the three of us could agree that the world's heavyweight champion, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, has taken advantage of these opportunities that have presented himself, becoming the world's heavyweight champion, taking the title to Mississippi, having title defenses in a lot of the territories. He's already defended at Joe Kazana. He's defended in Exodus Pro. He's defended at Crossfire. He's slated to go this weekend down to New Mexico to the Duke City Championship Wrestling to defend his title there. I think he's the living embodiment of what a true traveling champion should be for the NWA. But besides the world's heavyweight champion, who's over? Who do you guys think is over? Well, I guess who do you think is over, Jaden? Because DK is no longer with us. All right.
Oh, DK? No.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
In the heart of the angel. Sorry. I know. I always want to donate to those poor dogs. Right now, I can tell you, I follow the NWA Reddit more than I follow anything the NWA does.
Sure.
And I know they love Wrecking Ball Legursky. They love the Slime Balls, and they love Mike Mondo.
That's funny. You didn't mention Carson Drake.
No. Carson Drake. Honestly, every time Carson Drake ends up showing up in an arena, I think they should call it a narcotic squad because about 220 pounds of dope just walked in the building.
Jesus Christ. Wow. Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah, nobody seems to like Carson Drake. Only the Discord seems to like him. And honestly, I think those people live near power lines and eat lead paint because there's something wrong with all of them.
Wow. Just putting it out there. So you said Wrecking Ball. I'm literally writing down who you said because I think this is an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Something to explore later as well. But you said Wrecking Ball Legursky. You said Mike
the
Mondo.
Slime Balls and Mike Mondo. Yeah. The Wrecking Ball Legursky, he's over everywhere he goes. He's got personality. He's got athleticism. He's got that something that's kind of a little mixture of Bam Bam Bigelow and WWF version of Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yes, absolutely. I do agree with that.
And it's great when he works for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. He gets over. It's not just a crowd of the rowdy Rowan kids. He's over everywhere he tends to go. He was over when we saw him in the Crockett Cup. He's over in the NWA. He's over outside the NWA. People seem to like him. He's got that ability. He's taken that ball, that little bit of spotlight that NWA puts on him, and really used it to elevate himself. And one of the cool things I like about Wrecking Ball Legursky is when he works, at least with Dog, he brings talent with him that aren't necessarily, they're not names, but he brings it with him because he wants them to learn and grow too. And I always love that about him. He's always trying to, the people that he feels have something to offer, he always tries to bring it with him. But he's over and respected and well liked and bigger than I thought. He doesn't look as big on television as he does in person.
Well, we sat there at Crockett Cup and they literally almost spilled right onto us during the course of that chain match. It wasn't I guess it was a dog collar match between Wrecking Ball Legursky and Jay Bradley. And Legursky's a big guy. I think Legursky's legs are about as big as my waist. So I was quite sure what we were getting into when we saw that gentleman at the Crockett Cup and really the anniversary show, because he was there the year before too at the anniversary show that you and I both attended. And you said the slime balls. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think it is about the slime balls that get over with the audience?
They're the modern day versions of Bulk and Skull from the Power Rangers. They're the modern day version of what Nickelodeon used to be. You're
right.
Yeah, they're Beavis and Butthead. They're Ren and Stimpy. They are the embodiment of everything stupid in the 90s being brought to 2025. Yeah. And they have charisma, they have personality. They have multiple personalities in some cases. But that's what they are. They're the goofballs, not just the slime balls, but they're you like seeing them get beat up, but you also enjoy seeing them get, a little bit of comeuppance themselves. I didn't like him at first. I didn't understand it. Reddit loved them immediately, and so did some of the message board people. And I didn't see it at first. I didn't actually see it to the Crockett Cup. We were at the Crockett Cup, and I saw something in them, and I've been paying attention to it ever since. There is something there. I mean, sometimes you just want to slap the slime out of their mouth, but there is something there. They have some talent. They are kind of like the Bushwhackers or Too Cool, or they got, they're goofy enough that you can't necessarily take them seriously, but they just have that something special that you always have to realize they're threats, and they get over. They understand that, sometimes it's modern wrestling and it's stupid, but sometimes stupid wins. And they're a perfect example of they're so stupid they're geniuses.
That's fair. And we talked about Wrecking Ball Legursky, and then obviously Mike Mondo, man. I mean, I am reaching out to people who are within the business, within the industry. We want to get Mike Mondo on here. I've talked to some people in the NWA about trying to get Mike Mondo on here. I know Dr. Lawrence Zirconium is lobbying for Mondo to be on this show. We're really advocating.
Why do you get credit for all my hard work?
Well, of course. Well, I see. I don't know how much I can give you credit because your boss is kind of a prick. If we can be honest,
it's true. He's such an asshole
right now. I'm sure he's not listening to the show right now, and we could, edit this and post, but. Let's be honest. The guy likes to take credit for things that he may not exactly have had a hand in doing.
I do a lot of the hard, heavy lifting, and he gets all the glory, and it's not fair. But anyway, the Mondo's the people in the industry love Mondo. he is. I was telling you guys that he was a talent. He's a big find for the NWA. It's a major get, and I don't think you guys initially believed me. And unfortunately, DK, what'd you say?
I didn't.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I also said the same thing about the Pirates. What was his name? Burchill didn't develop to what he could have been, but Mondo 100% has. And he's had a lot of hardships in his life, and he's had a lot of setbacks and help, and a lot of never really seen, unfortunately, his talent be a highlight of what he is as a wrestler. It's always been what he's been doing otherwise. And this is where the NWA did something well. It's probably accidental, but Mondo is now what we think he is. He is an absolute take all the entire star and squish it into a black hole till you get that one solid mass of matter, and that's what Mike Mondo is. He's a star squished into a very small package of just pure dynamite and energy and excitement, and it seems like he's one of those guys who just might snap one day and rip somebody in half, or when they have like their guts hanging out as he just completely disembowels somebody from his absolute massive muscles. But he's just got that personality that he's like, you don't want to mess with him, and he's almost got like some Scott Steiner energy without being so unpredictable. But he's just got everything wrapped into a package of pure muscle and mass and intensity and excitement, and a little bit of fear is what Mike Mondo has. And I think people are starting to see both the talent and the fact that if they don't cheer for him, he could probably rip them into shreds and squish them into a giant little one of those little stress balls, just kind of become human squished stress balls.
So DK, I'm going to give you an option to tell me who you think is over in the NWA right now, and if you agree with Jaden, you could say that too. But I do want
other than Silas, make sure to stress that, because that one's an obvious one. That's we can't always make those simple empty net shots right there.
Those low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
But I do want to just go to some of the comments real quick. One, you mentioned the slime balls. We spent some time talking about the slime balls, and of course, Willie Bowen says slime balls suck. Slime balls will actually be a part of the next Gotham wrestling taping that'll be happening on February the 24th, just days after their taping in Tampa with the NWA. And on the poster, I don't have a copy of it to put on the screen here, but on the poster, the Slime Balls are holding their U.S. Tag Team Championship. Now, there's no word yet if the United Wrestling Network will be putting on a U.S. Tag Team title match, but what's so weird to see an NWA champion outside of Big Mama, who was also a United Wrestling Network champion, being on an UWN poster with NWA titles. It's just kind of wild to me.
I think it's a necessity for booking NWA champions right now, as they have to at least appear, if not defend the championship.
Interesting. They didn't put the NWA logo on the poster, though. And that's, again, I'm not sure what that is, but it is what it is, right? And then Devin Dowling says, my dream faction is Tyrus, Slime Balls, and someone else Willie Bowen hates from the WWE joining. Double D's just looking to perturb you, Willie Bowen. Don't fall for the low-hanging fruit. Oh, and then Willie says, I hate Matt Cardona. So that would work. Then we were talking about Wrecking Ball Legursky, and over on TikTok, our good friend Ryan McLean says that he got to watch him recently wrestle on the Independents, and said for a guy his size, the guy can go. One of the best indie wrestlers he's seen. And he's surprised that a company like AEW or WWE haven't signed him yet. So I think that's, we're just talking about fans who are also acknowledging the talent. And Wrecking Ball Legursky's, he's getting over with outside of the NWA and obviously inside of the NWA. And then Double D also mentioned earlier that Legursky is about to wrestle Zach Clayton, JWoww's fiance, at Aftershock Pro Wrestling in Poughkeepsie. Did I say that right? Poughkeepsie.
Is that Poughkeepsie, New York?
Yeah, on March 14th for the Aftershock National Championship. So Wrecking Ball is making dates. We know that he's worked with Dog in the past, and I'm sure he'll be there again in the future. And just being on the independents in the Northeast, he's getting those dates out there. Obviously, he's an over talent. And then as far as Mondo goes, like I said, we're reaching out to people within the NWA. Even Jaden's putting in legwork to get Mondo on the show. Hopefully, we'll have him in the not too far future. Speaking of talents that we are going to have on the show before DKM jumps on, is reached out to the NWA office, and we have recently NWA contract signed wrestler, the Urban Playboy, PB Smooth, will be joining us in a not too distant future. Actually, I think it'll be this Tuesday, to talk a little NWA coming up soon on the Alliance Guys podcast. DK, are you ready? The silence says no.
I'm here. I just
okay.
So what's the question?
Besides Thrillbilly Silas Mason, who in your, we talked about this offline, who's over in the NWA? So why don't you tell me, besides our world's heavyweight champion, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, who you believe is over?
Mondo.
What about Mondo? Good.
Anyone else?
I'm thinking.
Thought I smelled smoke.
Yeah. You know what's weird is I would have told you at one time that Kenzie Page was, but I don't know if she is right now.
That's interesting. Sorry, I'm messing with my light here. Just leave it off. Kenzie Page is interesting. That's actually a really good one, because at one point I would have agreed with you and thought, she's definitely heading to the WWE. She's definitely heading to NXT. Chelsea Green put her over, working with Natalya. Natty Neidhart really got her some eyeballs upon her, even though the NWA never released the match. Yeah, she's somebody that I would say is over, or was over. I don't know.
If only somebody could take that footage from that match and place it in the chats for both TikTok and Instagram, so they can watch that match and see how over she was. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work on TikTok, but I'll certainly try it. But go ahead, keep going, DK.
Well, I'm still thinking, because some of it you got to define what over is.
Then define it for us. What, in your opinion, what does being over mean?
Fans are willing to pay to see you. So, like, there was a time with Ken, and that's why I said I don't know if I'd still include Kenzie Page, but there was a time, especially probably in the first year of her title reign, or maybe the middle year of her title reign, that I would say she was good enough and going up against good enough people to where, you would pay just to watch her wrestle. Right now, I'd certainly pay just to see Thrillbilly wrestle. I'd pay to see Mondo wrestle. And I'm trying to figure out whether there's anybody else that I would specifically pay just to see them.
What about AJ Kazana? Would you pay to see him?
I don't know. Honestly, if he was like really close, probably. But like, I don't know that I'd drive to Forney to see him.
Here's the thing. I like AJ. I'd pay to see AJ, but I don't consider AJ over right now because of the way he's been presented.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem. Some of these people, I hate to do this, but I'm going to reference a Cosby Show situation. And there was a episode of the Cosby Show towards the end, may have been the last season or something like that, where the middle daughter had gone off to college, and she comes back and she's engaged and to like the maintenance guy at the college and all that stuff. And the way things were handled weren't very well. And so at dinner with the fiance or whatever, Cosby told him, he goes, "We don't like you." He goes, "But I don't want you to think that we don't like you because, you're a maintenance guy or this or that or whatever." He goes, "It was all about the presentation." And the example he used was, he goes, like, let's take your favorite meal. You want a steak, nice big juicy steak. You want a baked potato and you want some green beans to go with that steak. And somebody goes and they make some perfectly, and then they go to the trash can, pull the lid off the trash can, turn it upside down, put the steak, the potato, and the green beans on the trash can and serve it to you. You're not going to like it. And so sometimes the way the NWA presents some of their talent, you're not going to like it. And so they and with the way they've done the Country Gentleman recently, it's kind of like that. And so the last thing I saw was AJ Cassana wrestling girls,
Selling for him.
And
again, let's just say, remember, these girls, I'm sure he's taking shits bigger than they are.
Well, I mean, he's bigger than both of them combined, because I'm assuming he's somewhere between 250 and 300, and if they're 225 between them, I would be shocked. And so, hello,
I hear you.
We're all here.
It wasn't me, so or change. Yeah, and it was like, I don't know. I mean, and over's got to be more than just with your hardcore fans who are going to love everything.
Well, and it's interesting you said that, because in the chat, our pal Matthew Underwood said, let me pull this up here. Have we spoke about the Tampa crowd? Is it a burner or just stuffed with FOL? I don't know what he means by FOL, but I think he means like the students from Idol's school. And he says, to my point, the Tampa crowd isn't the best barometer. Which I agree, man. I feel like go ahead, DK.
I was going to say, I always thought that was the case early on when they first started filming Power, because it was rare enough and it was new enough and it was special enough that people were traveling from across the country, like you, to go to a taping. And that's where I made the comment about Question Mark. It's like Question Mark got over. It's like, yeah, but I don't know that he would have got over if it was just a show, a house show somewhere doing something. He got over a second day or the end of the first day of long tapings and, a crowd that was going and everything like that. Live, things can get over. The crowd can get over. The example I always used is I went and saw the movie, Batman and Robin, or I think it was whichever one George Clooney was in. But went and saw it opening night. Was in a crowded theater. The audience was responding and loud and talking to the screen, and there were a lot of cheers and a lot of boos, and everybody was having a good old time. And so people were asking me about the movie, and they go, well, wasn't it good? I go, yeah, I thought it was pretty good and everything like that. And then it comes out later and you're watching it on, you've got the DVD or you're watching it on online somewhere, and you watch that movie and you go, what the hell was I ever thinking? That movie was horrible. Right. And it was like, well, it was good the night I saw it because the crowd was good. And, you kind of see things like that sometimes. A good example is looking at the WWE show that recently took place in Saudi Arabia, where, not getting into the questions of how big the crowd was or wasn't, but look where they popped and Powerhouse Hobbs comes out and nobody knows who the hell he is.
Yeah, did you hear
his name at first?
Did you hear that? I guess they weren't familiar because AEW doesn't air in Saudi Arabia.
It doesn't air in a lot of places.
Sure, but I mean, like, they were so like, and I saw it and I popped because I was like, oh, they're gonna call him Powerhouse Hobbs. That's cool.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
And then they changed it to the other name, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I mean, I don't really care either way, but I thought it was cool that they were gonna keep Hobbs. And then because that was the name he used on the Indies as well, not just AEW, and then the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But you're right, it got zero reaction because he was not a known commodity in Saudi Arabia.
And you saw that, and it was part of the reason I think that the Bellas got as big a pop as they did, because the Saudi crowd knew who they were. Of course, remember when they first went to Saudi Arabia, they were still looking for the Undertaker and Yokozuna.
That's crazy to me, by the way, that they thought that, like, Undertaker I can understand, but Yokozuna was passed on.
Yeah, he'd been dead for a while when that started. But, again, casual fan wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
They just remember, hey, who was that big guy that looked like a
sumo wrestler?
Sumo guy, And so, and the world moves on. And I'm going to use another WWE example. Did either one of you paying attention to Raw?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
So they're in Philadelphia. And Paul Heyman even says something about, being in Philadelphia and where, doing something, from there, because he knows a thing or two about the crowd. The crowd never chanted ECW. The crowd didn't really care about most of the undercard. And the biggest pop of the night was for Roman Reigns and CM Punk. And it was just, so talking about people who are over, you got to see what it was. And it's just like, you can't just rely on history. You can't just rely on anything. We've said that before when it comes to the NWA. If you want to tie to their history, then, at least tie to their history. Don't be booking AEW style and then say we're tradition, we're where history lives, or, blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that.
Sure.
And so really, I can't come up with any other wrestlers that I actually find to be over.
Willie Bowen had thrown out a name, and I'll let you guys decide. How about the Immortals?
No.
Okay.
And again, I don't. This is going to the idea of I probably wouldn't travel to see them. I would go see them if they were here in Fort Worth, like actually in proper Fort Worth. But I'm not.
Like how you say that, proper Fort Worth.
Well, because sometimes people say things like Dallas and Fort Worth, and they're not anywhere close to Dallas or Fort Worth.
Like when they say Forney, Texas.
Well, yeah, they say Forney, Texas, but if you watch the beginning of the show, they show downtown Dallas, and you're like 30 miles from downtown Dallas, and you're not even in the suburbs. You pass through country to get to Forney.
It's a thing we have in Jersey here. We're like, in the shadows of New York City. No, it's New Jersey. I should think there should be a tax every time that anybody comes in and claims that they're in New York City or in the shadow of New York City when they're in a New Jersey arena. There should be a huge moron tax.
Well, they should tax the football teams for calling themselves New York teams.
Oh, I am 100%. I think we should take, honestly, as bad as they are, we should put them out on the rails and put them out of their misery or something. Send them to Buffalo, where all losers go.
Exactly.
Damn. I'm waiting for Double D to comment on that one.
But yeah,
I don't think he's a Buffalo fan anyways, but I'm just curious as to what he thinks about it.
I don't think Buffalo has any fans. They definitely don't have any hockey fans. Nobody shows up in their building. So then again, when you've been a loser for that long, that's what happens.
Gonna move the Sabres to New Mexico then?
Hey, can we ask question, because we're talking about over and who's over and what? Where is the failure for some of these people to get over? Jaden,
again, the value,
the failure.
Why are they not over?
Yeah. So Jaden, why aren't the Immortals over?
Here's the thing. They have the ability to do so, but the problem is they don't have the ability to do so against the NWA's booking. Also, sometimes you might be able to get over, but you're not able to get yourself over. You need somebody else to do it for you. And then in opposite cases, there's somebody like Throwbilly who got over despite all the morality that he had to deal with. So I would say it's probably 60-40, 60% with the NWA and the way they present people, and 40% with the Immortals not forcibly grabbing that brass ring and getting themselves over in the process. And also, I'm going to give it like at least a couple percent for those god awful uppercuts that Kratos keeps doing. Not Kratos, Odinson, and they don't look like they do anything. They just look like, hey, let me rub your shoulders. And I think right now, if I was in charge of the NWA, the very first thing I'd do is bar him from doing any more of those god awful flipping forearms that he does that don't look like they actually do anything.
Dang.
But I would say honestly though, it's mostly the NWA, but the guys themselves, if you have to do something, if you have to deal with this, you have to figure out how to get over it despite the NWA, not because of the NWA. Dusty Rhodes got over polka dots, and yeah, Dusty Rhodes has always been a special personality. He can probably show up in a burlap sack and get it over, but or could have gotten it over. But that's what people need to do. They need to take chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad. Even though I really like chicken salad, to turn it into chicken nuggets instead.
That's fair, I guess. Okay.
Answer your question, DK?
Yeah, but now I want Jay's thoughts.
Who I think is over?
Well, who you think are over, and why do you think some people that maybe should be over, like the Immortals, aren't? And maybe you think the Immortals are over. I don't know.
Real quick, Willie Bowen said Batman and Robin starring George Clooney was terrible. Thanks for bringing
not
that.
wrong. I'd rather watch Tyrus eat.
Okay, that's a different show for a different day. Who do I think is over?
I mean, I'd hope he eats Smalls, but that's a different story.
Oh God, dude. Okay.
In my belly, a baby. Sorry.
So, as a babyface tag team, I felt like Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox were over. As a heel tag team, I don't feel that they're over. However, if Healthy Knox and Murdoch were in my area, I'd go out of my way to watch them.
But would you go to like San Francisco?
No. But you know what? I think there's only one guy on the roster right now that I would go to San Francisco to watch wrestle. Like, I'd be like, oh, we're going to have Throwbilly's going to
Brian
wrestle.
Idol, right?
If Throwbilly was like, hey, let me just phrase that differently. If we found out that Throwbilly would be wrestling in San Francisco, let's say West Coast Pro Wrestling, because that's the biggest one I can think of in San Fran, then yeah, I would find a way to get out there for that, because it's the Throwbilly. Because I feel like he's so over, and I would like to see who they put him in the ring with, what kind of match he could have, what they would let him be, what kind of version would Throwbilly be. Mike Mondo, less. Okay, how about a better way to gauge this? Because San Francisco is pretty far. That's a plane trip, but I could drive down to TJ and watch Lucha Libre. And if you put a show with any of the four guys that I'm going to mention right here, I would go. Throwbilly, Silas Mason, Mike Mondo, AJ Kazana, and Alexander Miserable. Any one of those four guys, I would go. I would drive the 2.5 hour drive to TJ to go watch them. Does that count? Did I answer your question or not?
That works for me.
Thing is, though,
go ahead.
I'm going to say the thing is, though, it shouldn't be who's over with us. It should be who's over with the general audience.
Sure.
I know.
You
I
asked
wouldn't
me
go
if I would
pay
go
to
to
see.
San Francisco to if I would go to San Francisco to see these guys, and most of them I wouldn't. But to TJ I would. Who do I think is over? Look, when they're in Tampa, kind of like what Matt was saying, look, Brian Idol's over in Tampa because half the people in the crowd are his students. It's not an accurate barometer for sure. When they went to Dothan, who was over in Dothan? Thrillbilly, Brian Idol, Markova. Markova's over. I don't think we need to. I think that's a fact. I don't think we can dispute that. I think Tiffany Nieves is over.
I actually don't agree on Tiffany.
Okay. What about Hollywood Haley J? I know she's not consistently with the NWA, but when she's there, I feel like she gets a positive reaction.
I wouldn't think so. Jaden, what do you think with Markova and Tiffany and Hollywood?
Well, I know at least one person that Markova's over with.
We love you, noob.
But see, I see the benefit and the talent and the potential in Markova. But if you just put Markova on a poster, other than the pervs, I don't know if she would draw in the Northeast. I think if you regularly highlighted her,
challenged.
What was that?
We prefer morally challenged.
Morally challenged. Wait, Are you putting yourself on that list?
Markova may be over with me more based on her assets than in-ring ability.
Oh my goodness. We'll get
to
that.
I think to my point though, I think if somebody actually focused on her in the Northeast and she was on a Northeast television show or maybe even an internet and focused on, I think Markova could get over. Again, its presentation, I think, is partially the problem with Markova, and the lack of, I don't know how really to put it, the lack of exposure the NWA has. I don't mind Roku because it's easy for me to watch, and I don't have to. And I hate the fact that I can't really fast forward very well on my phone, but other than that, it's decently easy for me to watch. But I still think their best exposure they ever got was YouTube, and that's where they should be. Because if they're, it's at this point, if Billy Corgan cared about making money, he wouldn't be a wrestling promoter, and he wouldn't be putting the crap that he was putting out there now.
Boom, roasted.
Hey Jay,
can't say that you're wrong on that one.
Your opinion.
I'm listening.
Is Roku better than YouTube just on how it sounds? Would you?
No.
Does it sound better to say the show's on Roku as compared to saying the show is on YouTube?
Is Roku DK's version of Hacksaw Jim Dugan?
Probably. I don't think that you're getting a lot of. Okay. What Roku might have for it that YouTube does not is that Roku might be paying for the content, not based on who's watching it, but just by being on the channel. So if there's and this would be a great question for somebody like David Marquez who could answer this a little bit more honestly. I don't have that experience. I don't own a TV station, but a lot of wrestling, a lot of programming in general is paid for by the channel. Like they pay for a licensing agreement to view the content, to put the content out there. And it's a set amount every month. They agree to it. And, they base those numbers on what they think the channel can think they can sell advertising for. And there's a lot more to it than I can actually explain to you. Where as a YouTube content creator, I'm almost positive how they generate their views on YouTube and how much money that in general they make, and it can't be enough to cover what it costs to produce the show. Do they get more eyeballs being on YouTube? 100%. Is the pay the same? Probably not.
Well,
but as a consumer, I don't care about how much money the NWA is making on their show. I just like the most convenient way to watch it. So for me, the idea of them being on YouTube is way more appealing than them being on Roku. Think about our friends who are international. Dodi lives in Indonesia. He cannot watch the program. Our friend Pole Jump, he's in Australia. He cannot watch the program. Our friend Fiona, she's in Scotland, can't watch the program. Our friend the Hawk, where is he? He's from the UK too, right? I don't know where he's exactly from. He has to go about roundabout ways to watch the program, and then even our own brother to the show, Tim, the Alliance North, he can't watch the show in Canada.
I thought it was in Canada.
Is it?
I thought.
Okay. Well, then I will take a step back from Tim, but all my other points still remain. You just alienated a complete international audience. Now, I don't know how much of that, how many people internationally were watching the NWA anyways, right? But to me, I feel like just to have that ability to go on YouTube where everybody has access to YouTube. Everybody has YouTube on their phone. I don't know a single person who blocked YouTube from their device. Most TVs have access to YouTube. Every cell phone has access to YouTube. Your desktop, your laptop, your tablet. Everyone can watch YouTube. Not everyone has the same availability for Roku. That doesn't mean you can't download it. It doesn't mean you can't have it, but it's one more step. And if you're on the fence about watching a program, if it's just one more inconvenience to watch it, then maybe you just skip it. Maybe it's not worth the trouble.
Maybe. Okay. So we talked about the convenience and the money, but I think apparently Jaden didn't want to hear the rest. But I think I'm looking
I got booted. Sorry.
Yeah. I think I'm looking at this slightly differently. So let's look at the word credibility. I mean, obviously, any network show would get more views probably if it was on YouTube. And in fact, it's not uncommon for them to put the first episode of a show, either a new show or for, the first episode of a new season or whatever, on YouTube to try and draw people to their streaming service or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like when we look at CW, it would have sounded more credible to be on CW, the channel, versus CW, the app.
Yes.
So does it sound more credible to be on a Roku channel and on demand than on YouTube? And here's the thing. I don't really know the answer. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. And maybe this is a question that, offline you can ask Dave Marquez and see if he'd be willing to answer. Because I'm really curious as to, on a credibility level, on a whatever level, is Roku a better place to have it? Does it sound more impressive? Does it give you more credibility because you're there versus just being on YouTube?
Okay. First and foremost, Wiccan, thanks for the roses. That's a tough question, I guess, to answer because again, we the three of us, I think we be considered outsiders, right? I don't know.
I'm Scott Hall.
I think I'm Eric Bischoff. I don't know what that means, what Roku means versus YouTube. I can't put a value on that, as I know what you're saying, DKM, to industry insiders, to the fans. I mean, what perception is Roku versus YouTube? I know a lot of people have Roku. I know a lot of people that use Roku, but again, I don't know that it's any more valuable to me as a consumer than YouTube is, right? And so I see it and I hear what you're saying, but I can't tell you what is more valuable. Because I think it'd be disingenuous if I said, oh, well, Roku, because it's a brand, any dickhead could go on YouTube, no offense, and put their content out on YouTube. But Roku, I mean, that's you have to have, there has to be a demand for you to be on Roku. Otherwise, why would they just let any person put their content on Roku? They at least have higher practices and values when it comes to their content. But at the same time, I don't know if that's a difference. I don't know if that makes a difference.
People also don't forget, though, if it wasn't for Roku, a lot of our streaming habits wouldn't have ever been formed before there were smart TVs. Before you were able to watch a lot of this stuff on your phone, you had to have a Roku device to watch a lot of streaming services. If you didn't have the ability on your TV to download Netflix, you had to get a Roku or a Fire Stick. And even before a Fire Stick, there was Roku. So back in the day, that is how you streamed Netflix, and that's how you streamed television that wasn't traditional television. Before every channel, before your cable system started carrying these things, before you had the ability to go right to your refrigerator now and download these things, you had to go have a Roku or a Fire Stick to be able to watch this stuff. And now, and that's before they used to hack the Fire Sticks, where now you could watch anything on a hack Fire Stick. But now you can do that from your phone, from your TV, from your computer, from your washer machine, from your Abacus. They all have digital ability now to watch things from, and you can download. And that's what we're spoiled to do. But Roku was the originator, the OG, the grandfather of them all, and how you were able to watch anything. And back then, yes, it's also how you watched your streaming services, but there used to be a metric ton of self-made Roku channels before there was even such thing on YouTube as much.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you used to be able, if you wanted to put some money together, you could make your own Roku channel. I don't think you still can do such a thing, but it used to be a great place to watch all kinds of somebody's private collection of their favorite television show. You could show up on a Roku channel and watch Gilligan's Island or Barney Miller or whatever on it. They have, like, somebody's Roku channel would play it. You could have your own Roku channel with not that hard of and not much effort. I think it was like a small financial cost. And that became less popular when you can now do that on Twitch and YouTube and other sources now, where you can do basically your own channels and do these things. But that was not the case back in the day. And I feel so old when I say that. That said, though, Roku, I guess it has some kind of value, because I constantly get ads to say, why am I not promoting dog on YouTube, and why Doctors Academy is not promoting dog on YouTube, on Roku, that I could buy ads and have it play during Disney Plus on Roku or something else on Roku. And I assume there's got to be some kind of value at it. When we were talking to this one representative for the Atlantic City, because he promotes things in Atlantic City, he spends money on Roku ads. And I guess there has to be some kind of value, because he says it's a inexpensive investment that has paid big dividends for him. So I assume that it has to, if he's spending money to do these fights, these boxing fights, these MMA fights, or whatever else they do in Atlantic City on Roku, there's got to be a reason for it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think part of it too is, I mean, let's think about it this way. When we look at when you look at the opportunity to advertise, you could advertise on Roku, but you could also advertise on YouTube. Like, in fact, YouTube has between Google AdSense and YouTube, like, they have a ton of options for you to advertise on. But I do agree that, yes, I think there is some incentive to being on Roku, but I think mostly from the standpoint is, and I don't know this for certain, but I imagine Roku pays better than YouTube, period.
I also don't think you can skip ads on Roku. I haven't had a Roku proper. I run it through my phone now. But I remember back in the day, if the Roku ad was playing, you just had to sit there and wait for it to finish.
For me, because I watch it on, like, right here in my studio, this is a PC, right? This isn't I don't have a laptop. I don't have a cable TV box in here. I'm running a PC. I would watch the CW on here when I was watching the NWA on CW. YouTube, I would watch via the same device. And I watch Roku on it. I don't get commercials when I watch at least the NWA on Roku. It goes straight, the only commercials that come up are the commercials that the NWA puts into the programming, like for 77 years, the leading force in sports entertainment, whatever they call it. I don't know. but I don't see commercials on it.
But if you had a Roku device, like my brother watches things actually on a Roku device, and there are times that you can't skip the commercials. You have to watch through them, and if you try, it just ends up going right back to the beginning. You got to watch them all over again.
Oh, geez. Well, that doesn't sound appealing to me whatsoever.
I had the same problem with the CW app, which is why I don't watch any NXT on the CW app, because you try fast forwarding or going back, you got stuck watching commercials.
I
remember that too. I'm sorry, go ahead, DK.
I can fast forward or go back without much of an. If you pass a commercial, it will start the commercial, but then pick you up from wherever you are. But like I've passed 2 commercials before, and it'll just show me like one set and then go on, and that's typically if I'm skipping 2, it's because something happened. And I had to start the show over. Maybe something restarted or whatever. But I don't have a lot of problem. You do have to watch ads if the ads are in there, but.
And you watch from a Roku proper, right? The actual device.
No, I watch from a Fire Stick with the Roku app.
Okay. I watch on my phone, and I don't get ads at all.
Yes, and I hate you for it.
Hey, do we have time to talk about Power?
We do. What do you want to talk
Yeah,
about?
I actually watched it, and I have some opinions.
Strongly? Are you like bad opinions?
Well, we'll have to find out when we go through this program, huh?
That's what I like to hear. Tease it, and we'll be right back after. Just kidding. There's no commercials here. I mean, I think there are. If you're watching on YouTube, I think there are, but they're not planned. All right. This episode of NWA Power was called
I just thought of something. The commercials tend to go in when there's a lot of pauses. So every time DK talks, we probably have like 7,000 commercials.
That's messed up, man.
He pauses a lot.
I think DK likes to collect his thoughts and wants to make sure that he's articulating what he wants to speak.
Well, I could just ramble endlessly like Jaden, but I try not to.
Oh my
I
God.
also noticed I do it all in one breath, which is very impressive in my cardiovascular condition right there.
Well, it's a good thing you don't smoke, because I think you might suffocate.
Yes.
I might send him a pack of cigarettes.
I'm allergic to smoke anyway, so it'd probably kill me.
This episode was the hard way. Now, I always find it interesting because when you do go to the Roku app, it tells you the title of the episode and the season that they're in and the episode. Now, remember, NWA Power premiered back in the late October I guess it was early October of 2019. 2019, like that was some time ago. It was, about 7 years ago, I guess. And they're on season 26. What sense does that make with your pacing for the show? It's season 26? Really?
Seasons don't matter when it comes to. They use the video games idea of seasons, not the yearly episode of seasons like the television used to mean. I could have a season in a video game. I could have 5 or 6 in a year, and I guess you can in the NWA also.
So
well, this is closer to the European series.
Sure.
So like in Europe, Doc Martin or England, Doc Martin had 10 series. So 10 seasons, as we might say here. Of course, they were spread out over 20 years. They could go 2 years or more in between series.
I've been keeping track of our episodes for the Alliance Blog podcast, and we debuted in 2008.
Welcome to season 807 of the Alliance Guys podcast.
Right. No, and I think I keep it pretty close at like 19 seasons, because we did take a break there for a while, but we did like double up on some of it. Anyway, I call it season 19, and the math worked for me when I was doing it a couple years ago. Anyways,
well, they start a new season after each pay-per-view
Signature live event. They
Signature
do a
live
TV
event.
taping, usually 2 TV tapings, and then the signature live event, or 2 tapings, and then that's a season, and the signature live event's a season. I feel it's kind of disingenuous because when you see 26 seasons, wow, they've been on forever, but it's only it's not it's not 100% accurate when that happens. But anyways, getting to the show, kicks off with a very impassioned promo from Thrillbilly Silas Mason. Again, we keep talking about his very impassioned promos. That shouldn't be surprising at this point. I don't think there's a better talker in the NWA than Thrillbilly Silas Mason right now, and I feel like that guy can sell me a ticket to just about anything. He takes credit for shipping Cardona out of town. Now, obviously, this was filmed in December. Cardona made his debut for the WWE, or his re-debut for the WWE, his return, but not as Cardona in December. He came back as Zack Ryder, who was in the John Cena he's not dead, the Time Is Now tournament, the last Time Is Now tournament. And it's kind of funny. So, you had Silas Mason basically bury Cardona, which I think is fine, but Cardona's not going to hurt from it at all. But he said he ran him out of town and made him go back to his old name because he put such a stank on him. Then he demands that Tom Latimer come out to the ring and face him, which Tom obliges. Then he demands Tom to humble himself, apologize, and kiss Thrillbilly's feet. Of course, that's not going to happen, but just the tenacity of the World's Heavyweight Championship. He also, while in a suit, said, "You only wear a suit to a wedding, a funeral, or to court," which I thought was a pretty good line. And then Tom denies, the request of Thrillbilly to kiss his feet and says, how about he kicks his ass instead, which leads to a pull away. Both guys are getting their shots in. The security comes out, a lot of the FTW students, and eventually even the Southern Six come out to kind of pull Thrillbilly out of the chaos. And I felt like that was a very good start to the show, and it kind of gives you an idea of where they're going with the World's Heavyweight Championship, and we'll potentially see a Tom versus Thrillbilly rematch down the road. Jade, we'll go with you first. What did you think of this segment? Did you feel like this was worthy of your eyeballs?
First of all, when the NWA does something right, I will make sure to say it. And I think they're doing a lot of right by starting a lot of these programs with Thrillbilly talking, or at least have him talking on a lot of these programs. It's a very smart idea. It's also, I like the way they make the championship look important by having somebody want to come out and fight for it. It's a best segment they've had to open in a while. It's a shame the audience was completely like, I actually think the lights in Saudi Arabia made more sound than the audience in the Tampa. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's cliche. You guys are pull apart and everything else. It's a trope in professional wrestling, but it's done well. And the participants did what they were supposed to do. I care more about this match now than I ever have, even when I knew Thrillbilly was winning it. Because this has done the most it's had to make me give a crap about Tom Latimer versus Thrillbilly. And they've been promoting it 3-4 times.
Yeah.
And this is only the second time it's going to happen, maybe?
Yeah.
At least in this instance. So, yeah. What about you, DK?
What about me?
What about now, the Funk Soul Brother? What did you think about the opening segment?
Yeah, I mean, they got it right.
Wow. We're in agreement, and the NWA did something right. How about that, fellas?
Every once in a while, you can have a bunch of monkeys in it with a bunch of typewriters, and they'll make Shakespeare. They still would book better than the Billy Corgan.
Yes. And, yeah, I mean, I don't really know if there's anything else to say. They got it right. They got Thrillbilly showed why he should talk. Latimer, probably the best he sounded in a promo segment type thing. Most importantly, this wasn't backstage. This wasn't video. They weren't looking crazy. They were looking like wrestlers. And,
this was a skit. That was great.
Yeah. And so the pull apart, like Jaden said, it's a bit of a trope, but it worked. It did what it was supposed to do. And so, yeah. Yes, please. This, please.
More like this?
More like this.
Yes, please. More. Can I have some more, sir? More of this, please, sir.
It went from bad to worse. No, it went from good to bad, I guess. Then the next up, we have the Nihan and Mims promo. Now, we've seen this for a couple of weeks. The one thing I do like about these promos is, you know, last week we're trying to figure out who's babyface, who's heel, who's a tweener. And now we have this Mims who I'm not sure what he is at this point. And again, this is speaking of the booking, you know, he is playing a babyface right now. You didn't beat me because I got back up. I mean, that's not something a heel says, right? The heel will say you couldn't beat me and run away from the match. Mims said I took the loss, but you didn't beat me because I'm still here. That's something a babyface says. And then when this match happened, obviously, you know, Mims had lost the first round, but the promo is just going back and forth about, you know, Dragon Nihan has ended careers. And in the NWA, I mean, he did wrestle Max the Impaler the last time Max was in an NWA ring. So in some regards, he did pack Max off the show. And he's here to destroy people's legacies and auras and all this other stuff. Again, big talk, but, I mean, he's not a great promo guy. Mims, I feel like, again, I don't know where he is now. And then we get, what did you guys think of that promo? I mean, we've seen it before, but what did you think about it?
You first, DK.
DK's muted. Unmute. Okay, Jaden, you go.
DK, yeah. What are your thoughts, DK?
The promos, they all right.
Commercial break. The promo between I almost said DK. The promo between Mims and Nihan, you were fine with that? You were good with that?
These were the same ones they had done already, weren't they? I mean, they look very familiar.
Sir.
Yeah, and so, I mean, they were fine. It was hyping the match that was about to come on, so kind of reminds you why it was supposed to be important. Didn't love them, and of course, they had the disadvantage of being on right behind, you know, a very good segment. But it was all right.
That's all right. It's all right. All right. Anyway, I didn't see these because I haven't really watched a lot of the NWA, or if I did, I skipped through them. So this is new to me. And people always complain that there's no storylines in the NWA and they don't follow up on things. They followed up on this at least. And while I wouldn't say it was a home run, at least it was a base hit. They at least got on base. And this is what I'd rather them do these promos and this way they did like this than the skits that they've been doing. And it told the story. Again, the story, whether the story needed to be told or not, it told what the story needed to be. And it made the rematch feel like something that, that Mims lost, but now he maybe lost with a purpose. Maybe there's a reason he lost, and this is something bigger than they have bigger plans. So, they're finally doing some kind of storyline, and whether it's the storyline people want, I don't know, but at least they're doing something.
I think that's very fair, a very fair statement. Okay. Then the next up, we get the Immortals, and I feel like this promo might have been misguided or misjudged, or I'm not sure what happened here, because it sounded like to me that the promo was talking about the Good Brothers, and they even made it seem like that was the match that was happening tonight in the promo, although that wasn't what was advertised, and obviously that wasn't what was delivered. They didn't mention the Hard Way, I don't think, at all, unless I'm missing something. You guys in the chat can tell me if I'm crazy here. You guys right now in the panel could tell me, Jaden or DK. Jaden, did they mention the Good Brothers? Did they mention the Hard Way at all?
It was bait and switch, in my opinion. That's what it felt like, in my opinion. They were mentioning the big name tag team to maybe build interest in it, but it did feel like it was something that was coming up soon. And in fact, I didn't know I knew because I knew what was going on, but if I wouldn't have known there was a match coming up, but they didn't say later that they'll pin the titles later. But I think that was bait and switch. They were holding on to make people think that the Good Brothers were going to be there. DK?
Yeah, they kind of sounded that way even back at the last episodes of Sawin, they're kind of like, oh, the Good Brothers and the Immortals, and they want to meet and they want to face each other and they want to blah blah blah. And so then they're kind of coming in here and they're still talking about the Good Brothers. Now, of course, I had seen enough to know that the match wasn't against the Good Brothers, but if you were just walking into this, if you're not a rabid fan following their social media, you'd probably be a little confused.
Yeah. And I think the other part of it too is maybe that match does happen at these tapings, because I'm almost positive that they were at those tapings. But you like what Jaden said, they felt very bait and switchy, but it also felt like maybe they just played the wrong interview. Maybe this was supposed to be filmed and aired later. I'm not entirely sure, but nevertheless,
probably played 7 more times anyway. So
yeah, it probably will be played later down the road. Anyways, so I guess where I'm okay with it. I don't know. I'm all right with the whole point. Let me try that again. I'm all right with them talking about a future match, but it just felt weird that this was the promo that they put, on a night that they're going to be facing the NWA Chicago Tag Team Champions.
As the promo goes, though, it was okay. I mean, I think that was Kratos came across really well with it.
Kratos, I think, is a very good promo. Odinson, not so much. And it's not that I don't think Odinson's good in the ring or anything else. He doesn't really talk. He just he's there and, tell him, Hawk, and then that's it. It's just not a whole lot to go on there. So,
Mike Enos got over that way though with the Destruction Crew, so maybe that's something they're going to do.
Did you knew that Mike Enos was one of my favorites, right?
Really?
Yeah, I know he at one point they were not enhancement, but for a lot of his run in WCW, post Wrecking Crew, post Beverly Brothers, he was kind of an enhancement wrestler, but he was always one of my favorites. I loved watching Mean Mike Enos.
I actually always liked him too. He was a talent. Both him and Wayne the Train Bloom were talented. It's just they were never utilized correctly outside of the AWA, in my opinion.
I think you're right.
Kind of scary.
You don't like the Destruction Crew?
What?
You didn't like the Destruction Crew?
No, I did like them. That's what I'm saying. It was kind of scary that nobody used them well except for the AWA. When you look at the time period for the AWA. Although oddly, they were kind of another version of Doug Summers and Playboy Buddy Rose, in that they had both been in the AWA and they had both been kind of being used as enhancement. And then they put them together as a tag team, and they did very well as a tag team. They looked very convincing as a tag team. They wrestled well. And they, to the point where they, won the titles, and you didn't question, kind of questioned Doug Summers and Playboy Buddy Rose. But I didn't question the Destruction Crew?
Destruction Crew.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say that. And I think they would have made a good Minnesota Wrecking Crew too.
Without the masks.
Yeah, without the mask. But hey, the Beverly Brothers was stupidity on a stick.
I like their color of their tights though. The way I don't like purple, but their tights looks pretty cool. I'll give them the credit on that.
Matt Underwood says the Hardway needed promo time, and I kind of agree with that. You got Jack Vaughn, who is an internet sensation. I mean, he's gone viral multiple times, and he gets very little mic time on these shows, and it's like, what? I mean, he's not Ben Bishop. He's not even Richard Holiday, but he is a guy that's gone viral multiple times, and people on the internet who enjoy wrestling, a lot of them know who Jack Vaughn is. I don't know why you wouldn't take advantage of that. I would have him cut promos. I would have had him cut the promo. I would have had the Hardway cut the promo on this. They are the Chicago Tag Team Champions. You got to put a little bit of respect on their name. They're not just some jobber tag team in Tampa. They are a legitimate NWA championship team. and they've defended those titles in Chicago, and you know, I think they've even defended them in JCP as well. But you know, this is a team that, you know, and we'll get to their match later, but they're pretty good. Anyway,
those belts are ugly though.
Well,
Oh
yeah,
God,
but
they're ugly.
that's the Chicago, like Billy designed these belts, or he didn't design them, but he had one of his Art Deco, you know, less is more friends design these belts. And you guys are not the only two people that have come to me and said, these are the most ugliest belts I've ever seen. People within the industry have told me these are the most ugliest wrestling belts I've ever seen.
They're not Mountain State ugly, but they're definitely bowling shoe ugly.
They are not the Texas Cloverleaf Championship, not the Texas Cloverleaf, the World Junior Heavyweight Championship, the Cloverleaf title. That was an ugly that I could love because of the history and the tradition behind it. These belts are just ugly.
Well, and I think the thing is, when it says not Mountain State ugly, but I understand why Mountain State ugly was ugly. You know, it was just kind of a cheap tin belt.
Well,
and
much different? Are these much different?
Only in the sense that
they're expensive. They're expensive sheet metal belts instead.
Yeah, well, you know, the sense that they're supposed to be this artistic expression. I mean, the Mountain State belt was, I need something thrown together so I can have a belt. You know, these were something that were thought out and designed and supposed to be artistic in some way, and they're just ugly as, you know, all sorts of swear words.
It's almost as ugly as watching Dave Dahl wrestle before he retired.
Oh man, that's really ugly.
That's pretty ugly.
Okay, so let's get back to the show. We have Mims and El Nihon Dragon, and I don't know. Dragon is big, but he's not entirely impressive. Like, how could you be that big? And I don't want to make people feel bad here, but do you remember when the WCW booked? I forgot his name, but the English wrestler
Loch Ness.
And they put him as Loch Ness, and Loch Ness just looked awful in the ring, and Loch Ness and Big Show just hugged Hulk Hogan as a submission hold. Do you remember that?
That wasn't Loch Ness that did that, but yes.
Oh, okay. Who was it?
Ron Reese, the Yeti.
Oh, that was Ron Reese. Okay. Well, it was terrible, and that's how I get the feeling of El Dragon. I don't think I've seen him have a really good match in the NWA yet. And I don't know, maybe it's the opponents. Maybe they're not right for him, or maybe he just doesn't fit the NWA model, but they sure are trying to force it. And, you know, the match starts off with Mims trying to match power with El Dragon, and obviously the guy is a legit monster. He's close to 7 foot. He's in the ring, and he overpowers Mims. And for a guy whose nickname is Big Strong, you know, of course he's going to resort on power moves, and it's hard to do power moves on a guy who's nearly 7 foot. Mims hits a very ugly DDT, and I don't know if I blame him or El Dragon on this one, but that was kind of like the game changer for Mims. It was still very back and forth, but once he connected with that DDT, it allowed him to get some more aggression in, and he started to get in a little bit more offense. And at one point, as he was beating on Nihon in the corner, the referee came over, and Mims kind of shoved him down. And I don't think it was like an intentional wanting to be disqualified. I think he just got caught up in the moment. At least that's what I feel like the story they were trying to tell. And then the Pope runs out, and you just assume that the Pope is there to screw over Mims because he did it the last time. Instead, the Pope does one of his KO punches. You know, Pope is a former Golden Gloves boxer, if you guys didn't know that, and essentially just knocks out El Dragon. And the referee wakes up just in time for Mims to pin him. And I don't know if you guys remember back in the day when Adam Pearce was a wrestler and not a general manager. He had a shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees, and it famously said, "Who booked this shit?" And that's what I felt about this match. Like, I thought it was an okay match, but the finish was just garbage. Like, what are we doing here? You had Mims, who was a heel. He was with Black G's. He was a heel. All of a sudden, Pope turns on him, and now you're like, okay, I guess Mims is a baby face, I guess. And now Black Cheese is gone, and then the Pope, I guess he's now heel, and then you put Mims as a baby face against a big monster, and the monster gets the first win, and then they wrestle again, and then Mims wins, but because the Pope cheated, so now is he a baby face or is he a heel? And is the Pope a baby face or is he a heel? And baby faces aren't supposed to win with cheating. And Jaden or DK, actually, we'll go DK first. Tell me what happened here. What am I getting wrong?
Nothing. This was the match in and of itself was barely passable.
Okay.
I don't like big heavy guy. I don't think he's good, but I'm willing to set that aside for the moment. My question is, what is the NWA trying to do? I didn't like that he went over Mims right after Mims had beat Poe, because it killed Mims' momentum. So now they've come here and they've had the rematch, and now Mims has won through shenanigans.
And if they shenana once, they're going to shenana again.
Exactly. So who came out looking good from this? I mean, it was 50-50 booking. Maybe they'll have a rubber match. God, I hope not. Who came out looking good? Who was the wrestler that, when this was said and done, looked, took a step, moved up, looked impressive?
I don't know.
And think about this. So Pub comes out, and of course Galley's saying he's getting ready to attack Mims again. And then he helps Mims. And Galley's like, these two have been beating each other, senseless for the past few months. And it's like, well, no, they really haven't.
Yeah.
Pope interfered in Mims' national title match. They wrestled once in a normal match where Mims was still the heel and Pope was still the face, because nobody at the tapings knew about the event that happened.
Right.
At the Signature Live event. And Mims wins. And now at the next thing, now at the next time they're together, Pope is helping Mims, and everybody's just supposed to be confused, and we are, but not in the right way. Not in the, we want to find out what's going on, as in, gee, I wonder what's going on. We're more like, what the fuck is going on? What are they thinking? And so, and the crazy thing is, not only, so the referee was down, and Pope hits big heavy guy.
El Dragon.
Yeah, sure. And he falls down or whatever, and Mims is trying to roll him up, and he's having a hard time rolling him up, and he's trying to grab the tights, but he can't really grab the tights because there's nothing there good for him to grab. And the ref's out, so by the time the ref makes the 3 count, it's really been more of a 6 count. So, again, what's the Dragon supposed to be? Is he a face, a heel, or just an enhancement talent? What is he? And it's just, yeah. Jaden, was there anything redeemable about this?
Well, first of all, we wonder what got over. Apparently, it's the Pope's knockout punch. That's the most effective thing that got over. Here's the problem. Again, we talk about presentation. It's the wrong wrestlers against each other. Mims doesn't have an offense between his moves. His punches, his strikes are not effective. He doesn't have anything transitional in between the moves that he does, the power moves, and he can't do this power moves effectively against Neon. Neon, if you're going to push him to this what you're going to do. He needs to be bullying a lot of smaller guys, a bunch of quick squashes. Have the guys run into him. He Dusty Rhodes it. He stands in the middle. They run into him. And you get him, he kills a couple of guys, you steal and make him look impressive, you make him, his size is a thing, you make his mass a weapon and use it to its best, and then you steal a television main event out of it against somebody who means something. The problem is Mims is not that wrestler to do so. It's obvious because he doesn't have the transitions. He just has his power moves, and he just can't do it effectively against this big guy. So Mims ends up looking not until like a powerhouse, ends up looking like somebody who's weak because he can't do what his strengths are to make himself look good. Second, immediately, Mims should have been disqualified. He intentionally threw the ref, whether it was out of the energy or whatever, just trying to get out of the way. He threw the ref. He put his hands on the ref. It should have been disqualified. Nihon is the winner of that match right now. So that's stupid right there. And then the booking going on with, oh my God, he is. The commentary immediately made me realize, even if I didn't know her ahead of time, that the Pope was going to do something and help Mims win because of the way they set it up. They telegraphed that with a big old neon sign brighter than the missing seats in the Saudi Arabia. And it doesn't make sense. There has to make money, you need to make sense. And this doesn't. It's basically, I don't think they have like long-term booking ideas. I think they show up at a building and are like, okay, what can we do with the talent that's here? And sometimes if you're really creative, Dutch Mantel was very creative at that. In an hour before everything, he'd write everything he needed to do, and then it was great. Some people need to be more like Eddie Gilbert and plan it out meticulously on a notebook and multiple notebooks and have multiple storylines planned for a long time. The NWA, I think they throw shit on the fan and see what splatters on what piece of paper, and that's what they call a script. And that's what I'm thinking right now is they don't understand how to get people over. I think you can get Nihon over as something and steal a TV taping or maybe a big match out of him. But he has to be against the right people to build.
Well, apparently the NWA is taking out Jaden.
That's the second time that's happened tonight, and he's here. Like, you just booted him for a second, so let me pull him up.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It did me too. It said the host waiting for the host to put me in. It's what it keeps saying when it does that. That's but yes, I blame Billy Corgan trying to cut me off because he realizes I'm right and I'm making him look dumb. But yeah, but that's what it is. I think you can steal something out of Nihon if you knew how to do it right. But they don't know how to take the talent that they have and get them over in the way they with best of their ability. The idea is to hide their weaknesses and accentuate their strengths. And all they've done with both of these wrestlers is highlight their weaknesses and not accentuate their strengths at all. And the only thing the cool thing though was happy to see the Pope. Glad he's still there. Glad he's still doing something. And I like the Pope, and I think he should be used more frequently and more prominently. But at least he was there this time.
Yeah, that's true. That brings us to the next promo we get for the night, and it's Hollywood Haley J and Rachel Leigh. I kept thinking they were saying Rachel Ray, and it's kind of weird because she had a little slight resemblance, and I'm like, Rachel Ray? Is that what we're doing here? No, Rachel Leigh. And Haley J was fired up because of Vipress, who, again, Vipress, still very much a part of the United Wrestling Network, will be a part of their next TV taping, and in Irvine next week on February the 17th, or I guess in 2 weeks. She'll be a part of the action there, taking on Brittany Brooks, just plugging my friends over at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And Haley J's fired up that she got involved in her match with Serena Vell last time that she was on TV. So she's very fired up and said, "Oh, well, you have a partner. Well, now I got one too." And I guess the best thing from this promo is the fact that we have 2 new women tag teams, and I feel like that's important because the NWA certainly has been lacking in like legitimate women tag teams. So it was good to see that they had some in this matchup. But that was just a promo. Of course, there was a dog involved and the Poochie, I guess. And here, hold my dog while she cuts the promo. That was kind of weird for me. Jane, what did you think of that promo?
I actually liked it. I am, Haley J is the Queen Regent of being Ratchet, and it works. She's a savage, nasty, bougie Ratchet. I'm waiting for Jay to start doing some TikTok dances.
I don't.
Yes. But anyway, it was a promo that I think that got him well over. I don't necessarily think Rachel Leigh and Hollywood Haley J, the J and Leigh connection, are a real women's tag team. I think they were just thrown together for this taping. But whether you like her or don't like her, it's obvious that Haley J has some star power and can cut a promo and is interesting enough that she don't think she said anything of significance, but she's like the Boogie Woogie Man. The way she said it made it look and sound important.
Yeah, that's good.
What about you, DK?
I enjoyed it for what it was. Didn't think it was bad. I was just happy there was a tag team in there and that they were facing another tag team and not just getting a title match to lose. So, better than the King Bees were presented.
We'll talk again. When they do something right, we'll give them credit. And this is definitely an improvement over everything the way it's been. In fact, the whole pacing of the show, in my opinion, has been way better than they've been doing in a very, very long time. What's next?
Cool. What's next is the Country Gentlemen have a promo, and it's basically by the book. It's I love AJ Kazana. I think there's so much value there, and I don't know how can you divorce him from his brother and his father. The way that they're portraying Joe Kazana, who again has been on the show, and I love him, great dude, but his character is less desirable, and he feels like he is still kind of running the show, I guess, for the NWA. Casey is almost quiet. You don't really hear him say a whole lot of anything. I felt like this was a good opportunity to get those boys over, and they didn't really do it, but we are going to get a tag team match with the Slime Balls, the U.S. Tag Team Champions, next week on Power, and this is kind of just planting the seeds for it. And that leads us to our match. I think DK just stepped out for a second. So, Jaden, what did you think of this?
DK, you're not there because I see you.
Oh, he's here.
I'm here.
Okay. But all right. Again, it wasn't the greatest of promo, what it was, but if you want to.
Did you get cut off again? I don't know why it keeps doing that.
It did it to me one week. It kicked me out like twice.
Yeah, it says I'm there, and it says you kicked me out. It's basically what it's saying it's doing.
Right.
But, hold on. I'm going to try switching real quick. I'm going to switch to. If it kicks me out, I'm switching to. All right, so I'm on Wi-Fi now, so hopefully it doesn't kick me out anymore. But, am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. I don't think it was as effective as it could have been. I remember we'll give our good friend Rick Del Santo, the El Hijo Del Santo of all the Ricks, something he recently had an interview with Joe Kazana, and Joe Kazana now sees himself he doesn't see himself as Colonel Sanders, but he sees himself as J.R. Ewing. And I think that's what he's trying to be, as J.R. Ewing instead of being Joe Kazana, the Golden Boy. And I think that's the problem, is he's trying to be a character. He's not letting his own character come out. That said, though, for the regional titles that are only for the territories, and they're only dependent on the territories, and they're not dependent on the NWA, they're sure dependent and talked about on the NWA a lot.
Yeah.
On Power. And they made it look like they wanted those championships. They wanted to make sure that it made it seem like that those championships are important to them, and they made it seem like they put over the championships more in this little bit than I think the championship's been put over in a while. So at least they made the U.S. tag team titles look somewhat important, and they want them. They're desirable trophies and accomplishments that they want to achieve. So I think that at least in that aspect, I like that. DK?
Yeah. Promo. Yeah.
I agree 100%, DK. That is so eloquent.
I know. The promo is fine. The best thing they did was put over the U.S. tag team titles. I'm hoping they're giving up on this idea that the U.S. tag team titles are territory or titles for the territories, because they never have been. They get defended on the territory some, but they haven't changed hands in the territories. They haven't done anything really in the territories other than just get defended sometimes. And so, I don't know, but I kind of hope the Country Gentlemen win them, because A, I don't like the slime balls, but B, I feel like they do a good job when they have titles of going around with them. So, yeah, that's the end of my thought. Have you noticed we've talked about a lot of promos in like one match?
Yeah. Well, now we got our next match. We have Vipress and Serena Vale versus Haley J and Rachel Leigh. In Spanish, Vipress would be referenced as La Chingona. I hope I said that right. Which basically means a badass. Haley J is Hood, but so is Vipress, just a different Hood. And they're very different hoods, but they're both very animate about being the baddest girl on the block. We'll just leave it at that. Rachel looks extremely polished to me and bears an uncanny resemblance to Ella Envy to me, and I feel like that's a little weird.
Were you looking at her ass?
Excuse me?
Were you looking at her ass?
No, her face had a very Ella Envy look to her. That's all.
I thought honestly, that part of her body was the least Ella Envy, I thought.
All right. Well, okay.
DK, you're the tiebreaker on that one.
Oh my God. Well, and he's the expert, so.
Yeah, true. Expert about being an ass.
I really don't see the resemblance.
Okay.
On either. On either side.
Fair enough.
Oh, great.
But she did look very polished in the ring, although, and this is going to sound weird, she's very athletic, but she also kind of looked green. But she looked very polished but green, and I don't know if that makes sense to anybody but me. I felt like this was a really good match, and like Jaden said, I don't believe we're going to get another Rachel Leigh, Hollywood J tag team match. So it was very pivotal for Serena Vale and Vipress to win this one. And they looked pretty good as a tag team. I mean, obviously, I don't know if the chemistry is going to be there in their first match working together, but hopefully we'll see more of them down the road. I liked the match. And the finish of the match saw Rachel Leigh go for a very beautiful moonsault, one of the best moonsaults I've seen in the NWA. But there was no water in the pool as Vipress pulled Serena Vale out of the way, and there's no contact, so it was easy to get that roll up and get the victory for the new tag team of Serena Vale and Vipress. I think it works. I think it worked. It's kind of interesting. Vipress used to have a very goth look as well, and I thought it would have been very interesting if you had two goth girls in the ring as opposed to La Chingona and E Goth Girl. So anyways, I feel like that's at least a decent tag team that you have now. Not saying that you just needed one tag team. I still feel like they should have more tag teams in the women's division to justify having a women's tag team title belt. But I thought it was a good match, and I thought all four ladies looked well. I hope we get to see more of all four of them. I'm fine with Haley J being a singles wrestler and pursuing maybe the TV title, maybe even the women's world title. And I don't know what's next for Rachel Leigh, but I hope they keep her around too. DK, what did you think of this one?
I thought it was a nice little entertaining match. Didn't find anything about it that was overly offensive. I didn't think it was overly botchy. I didn't think it wasn't pitchy, dog.
That's good.
I thought it was a little entertaining, fun tag team match. I thought the right team won. I would, if Holly Hood's sticking around, I would like to see her go after the women's TV title, because they're still not, and the NWA still isn't using their TV titles right. They're not using them the way they need to be used. And so, it's great that they got rid of the 605. I don't like that there's no time limit, but again, these are the titles that they're supposed to be getting the lower undercard over with. Or not the lower undercard, the lower midcard,
right?
Over with. So, and these are titles that should be changing hands every 4 to 5 title defenses. And Billy or whoever, it just doesn't seem to get that. And I suppose part of the reason is he doesn't really care.
Yeah, maybe.
Seriously, I don't think he really cares. He has lots of titles, but I'm not sure how much he cares about all of them at any given moment. But it was good to have a tag team match. It was good to have a tag team match that wasn't just featuring the world tag team champions. And I feel like the right team won. And so, yeah, I like to see where this kind of goes. I don't necessarily like the idea of a one and done for Hollywood and what was her partner's name?
Rachel Leigh.
Rachel. Yeah.
Lay's you can't eat just one.
Oh my God.
Exactly. And so it was I think I'm not saying they should team up a lot, but I wouldn't mind seeing them as a team from time to time. And yeah, that's about all. I mean, what else is there to say?
All right. Well, then we get let's see, a Holy Grail promo.
I can't talk.
Oh, I'm
I didn't
so
talk
sorry.
about the match.
I apologize, Jaden. I apologize. Please forgive me. Forgiveness, please. Go ahead, cut the promo.
First of all, cut the promo. Crap! I had a funny line and I forgot it because now you cut me. You didn't give me a chance to talk. Damn it! Had something funny about pooches.
Okay, let's go. Pooch.
I don't remember what it was. Something. I was a play on words. Something DK said.
Don't ask me. I was listening to myself.
I know I wasn't either, but somehow I was gonna. Oh well, I had something funny and you ruined it, Jay. Thanks a lot, Jay.
It's not the first time I've ruined something funny. Let's be honest.
Yes, it's so true.
I mean, for instance, look every Friday at his dad jokes.
Yes.
Hey, screw you, buddy. Screw you. All right.
His dad jokes are over, despite his booking.
Exactly.
Both of you. I got a wiffle ball bat. I'm going to use it on both of you. All right, let's go.
Promise.
Anyway, the match was fine.
Okay, go ahead. Let's keep moving.
We just learned a new kink with DK here. Anyway, the match was fine. I liked it. I thought all of them looked like they could potentially be something. Hollywood has obviously got a ton of charisma. I don't like the cornrows or whatever. What's her name had the Serena Vale had in her hair because it made her scalp show too much.
Yeah,
but otherwise, and I'm not a big fan of dual color hairs too. When they're half one color on one side and another color on the other for the
Viperous.
Viperous. And I think Vipers would make a good goth chick too. So now, honestly, I'm kind of wishing now Vipers would go goth chick, and we can have a good goth chick tag team because the best thing about freaks is they like to get freaky. But everybody looked like they could potentially be utilized in the future and can make money in the women's division. And if these are hidden gems that if they could take advantage of, they could possibly create a new women's resurgence of the women's division that they've lost for a while now.
Yes.
I know what it was. Instead of being Pitchy Dog, it's going to be, instead of being Pitchy Dog, they have Poochie the dog.
Poochie the dog. Jeez.
Okay, I remember now.
Okay. Speaking of Vipress, right now I'm just looking to see if I have a picture of Vipress as a goth, and I think I do. And I'll see if I can pull it up here. I don't know if I can. I'm trying. Give me a minute, guys. Jeez.
As an example of a good goth, there's a e-girl called Desi who does like this blonde thing, and she's like very blonde, like super stereotypical blonde, but then she has a goth alt gimmick she does, and she looks completely different as a goth, and I'm super into her as a goth chick, and I think that's where, maybe Viper's will be if it's loading up. She's not a wrestler, she's just, yeah, see, I can see that better. That'll at least work with the style of her partner's outfit better.
Yeah.
I still hate the dual color hair though.
Yeah, she's had that for a while, but she's been somebody that I've seen wrestle, like, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is a place that I've seen Vipress, but I've also seen her work the Lucha Libre shows in TJ.
Yeah,
I didn't know we could do this. Oh, that's not very good though. Okay, well, anyways, goodbye. I've seen her work the shows in TJ with AAA, and I think just AAA. And then I've also seen her work with West Coast Pro Wrestling up in San Francisco. And she's done stuff with, like, I think she's done dark matches with AEW. She's a regular for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So she's somebody who's out there. I've seen her a lot. And, I think it's a good pickup for the NWA. And I think her and Serena Vell could work. But it is kind of interesting. She changed her gimmick, I think, like maybe 2 years ago, and went from a goth to like a chingona, a chola, if you will. And, it is what it is. But I think they would be better to use her in a different role. Not different role, but different gimmick. Next up, we get the Holy Grail promo, EC3 and Pastor CeeLo. EC3 does all the talking here, which, I'm going to ask PB Smooth when he does come on the podcast about, how much EC3 meant to his career, but also, like, what direction does he go now that he's no longer going to be teaming with EC3 or have that superstar to kind of lean on, because I feel like, EC3 was the guy who did all the talking for him, and Pastor CeeLo does cut a pretty good promo. We haven't really heard PB Smooth get a lot of spotlight, so hopefully, as now that EC3 has left the company in a wrestling capacity, maybe this will grant more opportunity for PB Smooth. But I feel like this promo was pretty decent. Again, Cristiano Argento is the marked target because he lost the match for them and disrespected EC3 because an Exodus Pro guy should have helped them get that victory and won those U.S. tag titles, and that wasn't the case. We'll go with you, Jaden. What did you think of this?
I know EC3 is gone, but they has a presence to him that looks like somebody you pay attention to. He fits the poster test, I think, and he is a good enough at the promo that I think it's an asset that they're definitely losing, and the benefit is, now that it leaves space for somebody else to get over in his spot and maybe sign some talent under his pay, it goes to somebody else to sign. But I think this is a good chance for the NWA to maybe do something with PB Smooth. But at the time, at the least right now, I think the star power of EC3 and his presence made it more of an important interview than I think it would have been without him, even if he did have Gary Coleman there.
Real quick, before you go, DK, I just want to shout out, Matt just became a member of the Alliance. We're going to start having member exclusive content here on the YouTube channel when you become a member of the Alliance. And I'm not even sure exactly how much Matt paid just now, so we'll stay tuned, but there'll be some more special content and content just reserved for the members. Of course, there'll still be the live streams every Thursday and Tuesday that you guys have been accustomed to, but there will be exclusive content when you sign up for the membership. And I think it's a monthly, I want to say it's $2, but don't hold me to that. Matt knows, he just did it. So Matt, thank you for subscribing or becoming a member, I guess is what it's called. And
I can't wait for the exclusive content of DK Young at Clouds.
that might work. We might do that. Anyways, okay, sorry to interrupt, but I did want to celebrate that because I think he's the first. Oh, wow, double D too. All right, now we've got a $3.99. Well, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was that much, but thank you for becoming a part of the Alliance. And again, we'll have some exclusive content. We'll do some more content just for exclusive for the members. And do appreciate you guys joining and taking part of that. All right, DKM, I apologize. I didn't mean to step on your time. What did you think of the Holy Grail promo?
I don't know, because it was a little bit weird for me since I knew EC3 was gone.
It did feel weird.
I'd say it like this, but I had a harder time paying attention because it was like, you're not even there anymore. So nothing in it stood out to me as bad. So I'll go with that. It wasn't bad.
I think praise from Caesar.
Well, and sometimes that's better than it's not being bad is sometimes good enough, especially with DK saying it.
Yeah.
All right. That brings us to the creepy Dr. Vic segment where he just sounds creepy on the phone, and he says something like, hey, I need you to do me a favor, and if you do me a favor, I'm going to do you a favor, and I know you really want this favor, but I'm not going to say what it is because the phone might be recorded. There might be somebody listening, or maybe a camera's recording me speak right now, so I'll just imply what a favor is, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is. I just don't know, man. This is so bizarre to me, and the segments leading up with him and Tiffany Nieves, Tiffany was very excited to be in his presence and to be in his villa, and now he's up on a phone talking to somebody about doing favors, and what's next? An island? Are we going to go on a special plane? Like, I didn't like this. It made me feel very uncomfortable. Not it was fun, it was creepy, and I'm not okay with that. So anyway, gentlemen, if you would like to comment, you can. If you don't, I completely understand.
I skipped it until I saw that it wasn't on anymore. Then I hit back until the wrestling started. Because unfortunately, you can't fast forward on the Roku. You have to just hit back until you get somewhere you need to be.
You made the right decision.
I think there was a girl that I caught like a brief second of, but I didn't really see what it said, who it was, or because as soon as I saw like a brief second of a girl, and then it went right to the next match.
DK, did you have any thoughts you wanted to add?
No, I mean, really, it was just I didn't see it because I thought it was a commercial and not a skit or something for the NWA. So I just I didn't hear anything. I didn't pay any attention to it. It was just there while I was doing something else. So I couldn't tell you one thing about it.
Well,
I honestly, based on your comment over metal, I hope somebody kills this segment.
We'd like to see. Never mind. I don't. Never mind.
Because obviously the segment isn't going to kill itself.
Oh my god. The comments from Jaden are his alone and
pretty funny.
I don't want to end up dead somewhere. First match, or I guess the next match, is the Urban Playboy PB Smooth taking on Cristiano Argento. Argento has a great look, man, and I don't know what they're doing with this guy because I feel like he has a lot of potential. He is obviously a very gifted athlete. He's built. He's not like one of these skinny guys. You could tell he takes care of himself. He's in the gym. He can move in the ring, but he's treated as comic relief. And I don't know, like someone said this is like a parody of those type of gimmicks, but like, why waste somebody's potential with a parody when all you get is about 15, not even 15, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes a month to put somebody over to create a star, and you're going to use them as a parody or as a joke. Like, this is where the booking of one, I think, very much bothers me, because Argento could be a potential junior heavyweight, could be a guy that, he looks like he could be a good challenge for somebody like Slade, or have a match with somebody like Alexander Miserable. And in the meantime, we have him being a goofball. And I'm not saying that you can't have some comedy with your wrestling, but like, we've got the Slime Balls, we've got Carson Drake and Aaron Stevens. I see the effort for comedy with those guys. Why do we need to have Argento be a joke? Because I feel like he could be something more than what he is. The match gets going. Early on, Argento's dominated by the big man. At one point, Smooth tosses him outside of the ring. You can see Pastor CeeLo's about to get involved, and instead of a big drawn out fight, he gives Pastor CeeLo a pretty wicked arm drag right on the hard floor. And I was like, damn, dude, that didn't look safe. It didn't look healthy. CeeLo looked like he got, really took one there. Then he gets back in the ring, and you think the momentum for the match is about to change. He goes to the top rope, and no, he gets basically he gets that choke STO. He at first he blocks the choke, the choke STO, but then eventually goes to the top rope and eats one anyways. And then he follows that up with the they call it the penthouse powerbomb, where he lifts them up and basically ends the match. It was pretty much a squash, which I guess is fine. PB Smooth should have these kind of matches where he's beating up on lesser talent, but I just feel like there's something more they can do with Argento. And then post match, you have Knox and Murdoch approach EC3 and get inside of his ear, but nothing really happens. And it doesn't look too confrontational. It looks more like maybe coaching or maybe criticism. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll go with you first, DKM. What did you think of this segment?
The only part of the segment I cared about, because I kind of knew it was going to be a squash, and I still think for whatever reason Smooth is very green looking. So the only thing that I was thinking was when Murdoch was there whispering in EC3's ear, again, knowing what was going on. I think Murdoch was saying, see, this is what happens after you lose your title and they don't have anything planned for you on the top, is that, you're going to become just like me, where, you're never going to have a title match again. You're never going to be in contention. You're just, they're going to put you in a tag team to while away time and get you out of the way. So I entertained myself with thoughts as opposed to actually enjoying anything that was actually on the TV. But my thoughts were great and entertaining for what it was.
I'm glad you put yourself over. Your thoughts got you over on this one.
Yep.
Jaden, what else do you have on this one?
I think this is what they should have did with Nihon, with somebody, just kill him like that. I also think having two giants on the same show diminishes both of them. They should split them up at least. If you're going to have two giants, split them up, and then maybe down the line have one walk to the ring and one leave the ring, and maybe have a little interaction as they're walking up to build some intention between them. But generally, they should be on completely different shows. It diminishes both by having two giants on the same. That also, I agree with DK. I was reading Murdoch's lips, and he's like, "Do you really trust this company with your legacy, with your future?" That's what Murdoch was saying to him.
That's good. I like that. That's funny.
So yeah, DK was what he was imagining wasn't far off with what he was saying, because I could read lips, and he says exactly like, "Do you think this is the company that you can trust with your future and your legacy and your last little bit of wrestling time? I think you need to go to TNA or somewhere else, or maybe become the next Matt Cardona."
Oh fuck, man, that's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. Okay, well then the next part is we have the Colby. That's not true. We have the Pretty Power promo. We need to get moving a little bit faster because it's we're up against it. We were supposed to be off like half an hour ago, and it looks like we have at least another 10-15 minutes. So I'm going to try to go through this quicker. We get the Pretty and Power promo on Teal Piper and Hera. Teal Piper, the daughter of Rowdy Piper, looks just like her pops. promo was just basically Pretty Empowered. Hey, we're a tag team and we're back. I was fine with that. We're going to skip to the Colby Carino in-ring promo. Of course, he's coming back from injury, and they're trying to pin down when he's going to return to in-ring action, and he doesn't have a time yet. But he was mentioning how, when he left the hospital, he was literally in a walker and then a cane, but he doesn't have a cane anymore, and he plans to be back at some time this year, some point this year. Real quick, guys, we'll go Jaden first. What did you think about Colby Carino in his promo here? What did you think?
He's one of the few baby faces they have, and it came across that way at this. He was doing a baby face promo, promising he's going to come back. DK?
Yes, I agree with Jaden.
Do you think that I kind of felt like it was the promo wasn't great, and I don't want to go into any more than that. I just felt like maybe he wasn't prepared for this. It seemed like
I'll say this: it didn't feel like a promo; it felt like an update.
And it didn't. Well, and it felt like he wasn't a very comfortable update either. I don't know. Maybe that's me. I didn't think it felt very safe and comfortable. That leads us to the Hera and Till Piper versus Pretty Empowered match. I only know. According to Matt, Till Piper with the backstage heat that leaked. I don't know this story, and maybe you have to go to our Discord to find out more about it, because that's where I'll be going after this live stream to find out about the heat with Till Piper. I did hear that this was like a one-off appearance for her, but I don't know about the heat that she has with the NWA or with anyone in the company. Kenzie and Kylie, former NWA Women Tag Team Champions, but not together. I found that was very interesting. Kenzie is a Grand Slam champion. Joe Galley would let you know that at least twice during this match. But Kenzie held the tag. What'd you say?
She's a Triple Crown champion.
You are correct. That's actually the more appropriate term, isn't it? Kenzie held the tag titles with Ella Envy and with Big Mama. Kylie held the titles with Ella Envy. And we've mentioned Ella Envy now 4 times, and she hasn't even appeared on the NWA in months. But the two have teamed regularly since 2023. On Power, they have wins over Reka Tahaka and Nieves. They had wins over the It Girls. They had wins over Caribbean Flow and the Moneybirds. But they have losses to Haley J and Tiffany Nieves. Greta and Tiffany Nieves, that match was thrown out. Piper, like I said, looks just like her dad. And it was neat to see her wrestle. I never saw her wrestle live, and I was a big fan of Roddy. Hence why my daughter's name is Piper. That's
where she came out and hit you with a coconut.
We don't talk about that. That was supposed to be off the air, man. That was private. The match starts off with Piper being very hot. She's taking on both sisters, one at a time, but eventually the number game adds up, and Piper gets neutralized by the sisters. Delivered some weird headbutts. I did not like that as an offensive move for her. It just, not even grabbing the person and headbutting her, but just literally throwing your head at them and slapping your thighs. I just didn't like that at all. The match itself, it wasn't bad, but the outcome was strange to me. And Hera, the whole gimmick of Hera was just beyond bizarre. Hera looked like she was a rejected Goldust design, or maybe like one of those knockoff Kane, like the blue Kane and the snow Kane and all the other Kanes that are out there. I kind of felt like this was like the female version of Kane. And the match, she was almost a non-factor till the end of the match, where she did hit a few good offensive moves, and then the submission on Kylie, which again, controversial. Kylie's foot was in the ropes, but she started tapping out, and the referee was in poor position and acknowledged that she tapped out. It was a very bizarre match, and I don't know what the heat is with Till Piper, so you'll have to go to our Discord to see about that. But I didn't hate the match. I just felt the outcome was misbooked. Jaden, what did you think of it?
I thought it was my least favorite match on the card. It just something didn't feel right about it. I thought Hera looked like a statue.
That's what they said. and I thought that was dumb.
Yeah, I didn't like the look. I don't know. It just everything felt off. Something didn't feel right about this match. I hate they keep calling Kylie baby Kylie.
Yeah.
It's very creepy, them dog.
Well,
But
that's just Danny Deals.
yeah, it's creepy.
I'm not saying it's not, but
Yeah. I just didn't like it. No star, I don't like it. And speaking of Ella Emby, she maybe not been on the show for a while, but she's apparently been in your heart for the whole entire time.
I still thank DK for that picture. It's one of my favorites. DK, what did you think of the match?
I thought it was all right, actually. This is one of those, I didn't know that Teal Piper was just supposed to be a one-off, although I think she's been there before as a one-off.
I don't remember seeing her before.
I think this was her first time in the NWA, and she probably wasn't supposed to be a one-off. She probably just won it off herself.
Maybe it's just one of those things of, if she was only going to be a one-off, then her team shouldn't have won.
For sure.
Because it only makes sense for the team to win if they plan on doing something. And then the ending gives Pretty Empowered an out. Although, really, really Pretty Empowered needs to kind of get some wins because they haven't had any recently. The match was thrown out with
Nieves and Greta.
Yeah. And then they lost this one in a weird and semi-stupid way.
Yeah.
And which, again, I could accept if the idea is you're going to do something with the other tag team. So, I mean, I didn't hate it, but now I'm confused.
All right. Well, I mean, I think I agree. There's plenty to be confused about. That leads us to the Federation of Champions promo with the Slime Balls acknowledging that they will be defending the titles against the Country Gentlemen, and Carson Drake challenges Misery. Again, silly promo. Aaron Stephen is managing the Slime Balls, but he hates them. Carson Drake is kind of just mini Aaron Stevens at this point. And then we also have Giselle Shaw talking about her getting an opportunity to challenge for the Burke. I do like the fact that they're bringing in big names to challenge Markova, but what does it say about the rest of the division when you keep bringing outsiders in? Shotzi Blackheart, now Giselle Shaw. Who's next? Is anyone in the NWA going to get a shot at this title, or is it just going to be outsiders?
I was thinking about this actually during the show, and I don't know that I'm for or against it, but I feel like what they're doing is they're trying to build Markova by giving her wins over some, people with name value. And so while they do that, then they're focusing the internal talent on the tag team titles. So it's kind of like, I'm not for it or against it. I see the logic, and they need to do something with the tag team division. It's weird in WWE, ever since their women's tag team titles came out, they've been like the most meaningless things next to, with the possible exception of the NWA tag team titles, women's tag team titles. And now they're like the hottest thing going, and people barely care who the singles champions are because all the activities in the tag team division. So I don't know. Don't know that it's right. Don't know that it's wrong, but that seems to be where they're heading. Jaden, do you have a thought one way or another on that?
I don't hate it because right now they don't have anybody built up, so they have to build up Markova because they haven't done a good job of building her up, in my opinion, either. So wins over Shotzi Blackheart, wins over Giselle, and wins over people and what was it? Carissa Rivera. They had the match with her too. I think getting these wins over people that have been on television is a good way to get Markova over, because they didn't do a good job building Markova up, in my opinion, to begin with. So now they are relying on this star power and trying to do damage control by getting her wins over people that people recognize. And I think that's, and you know what? At least the people, I don't know about Giselle Shaw, didn't see the match yet. I wasn't that impressed with the match with Shotzi, but some of the matches that she's had, like the match against Carissa Rivera, even if the booking was weird, that was a good match. And if Markova gets some good matches over people that are recognized, it makes her seem like a bigger star. The big stars always get the fights in UFC, even if they're just coming in for one time. It's always been that way. Yes, you get your contenders and stuff, but it's always the money match, and this is at least some kind of money match.
Yeah. That brings us to the Hard Way versus the Immortals. Now this matchup was I actually really dug this match. I have seen the Hard Way all of 2 times, the match that they had with the Good Brothers on Power a couple weeks ago, and then the match that they had with at the Crockett Cup as part of the Battle Royal. And I genuinely believe that Dalton McKenzie is a future superstar. I feel like he has all the right tools, and he is, we talk about all the time, big, meaty men slapping meat. He fits that to a T. These guys looked really good. Jack Vaughn, of course, the internet sensation. These guys are the Chicago Tag Team Champions for a reason. So, again, all of this bodes well for these two guys. But putting them in the ring with the Immortals, this is their second match. And again, I don't like when the NWA allows people to fail upward. Like their first match on Power, they lost. They lost to the Good Brothers. So why did they get the tag team title match here? It's one of those things that just kind of irks me when they do this. But nevertheless,
they did have an explanation for it, though. In this, wasn't a good one, but they at least made the attempt.
What was it?
Carson Drake on commentary said he pulled a lot of strings to get them this championship match. So they're good friends of his, and he pulled a lot of strings and had to make some favors to get this to happen.
Okay. All right. Well,
again, not a good explanation, but at least it was an attempt.
Okay. Well, they did put up a good match, and I got to be honest. I feel like the Hard Way looked better in this match than we got with BFT just last week. So as I'm watching this thing, they looked really good. Big meaty men slapping meat. Mackenzie Dalton getting face to face with Kratos, who's been a BAMF,
a BAMF.
That's the one. Going toe to toe with Kratos was kind of a cool moment to see, and it made me believe like maybe Dalton McKenzie is a guy that they should maybe invest in a little bit, because I think he could be a future player for the NWA. And I kept thinking, like, Jack Vaughn was probably the least physical guy in the ring, but even him and his size, he brings something that a lot of the talent in the NWA doesn't have. And plus, he's, again, popularity on the internet, he's way over. So it was a fun match, and I liked the match, and I think the right team won. And, I don't like those European uppercuts, like Jaden says. But I thought this was a good match, and I want to know what you thought about it, DCam. What did you think of this match?
It was the best match on the show. In spite of the fact that I don't think that they've had a win in the NWA, they at least were able to put over the fact that they were champions in the territory. And so that would seem deserving of a title match. And Carson Drake said he pulled strings. Although I really have a hard time picturing Carson Drake and the Hard Way as friends.
To play the devil's advocate, I have trouble finding anybody being friends with Carson Drake.
Well, there's a fair amount of truth in that, but Carson Drake is kind of a preppy bullshit artist, and two guys who are kind of the old school wrestling mentality. I mean, business associates, sure. Friends? I don't know. It didn't sound right to me. And yeah, match. Love the match. Thought the match was good. Thought it went the right amount of time. I thought both teams looked good. I thought the Immortals did a good job of making the Hard Way look credible challengers. Sure, I'll agree on that uppercut that makes no sense to the back.
Or to the front. They just don't do it. He doesn't do the uppercut well anyway, front or back.
That's very true.
Or back, side to side.
Exactly. And so that's what I call one of my nitpicky criticisms. Overall, I enjoyed the match. And that probably made the show like a B- for me by the time we got there.
Okay.
So I thought they had a strong beginning, and I thought they had a strong end, and I thought the middle wavered kind of up and down.
All right. Well, that was Power.
I don't get a turn.
I mean, of course, after Jaden tells us what he thought about it, is what I meant to say.
I enjoyed the match. I thought as Dalton McKenzie and Jack Vaughn, a makeshift NWA tag team. They weren't tag team out of the NWA before, right?
No, they teamed together. They were the JV squad, but I think it was mostly in NWA promotions.
Okay.
You know?
I like them as a team. I would like to see them maybe win the US Tag Team titles and feud with the Country Gentlemen over it. I think that would be something I would enjoy a lot. Maybe get them a bunch of wins first, have them beat some tag teams, maybe beat the Slime Balls with the US Tag belts, and then defend against the Country Gentlemen. I'd enjoy that. I think that's something the fans would enjoy. I thought everybody looked good. I thought, if anything, the one person who did not come across as good as the other three was Kratos, but he still looked all right in what he did, except for those stupid forearms.
That's Odin.
Uppercuts.
That's
Odinson. I keep saying that wrong. Odinson, yeah. I think Kratos looked very good too. I looked forward to when the two big guys were in there. I thought that was fun. Since DK wasn't here, I get to say my joke again. When Carson Drake came down to the ringside, I wanted to say, call the narcotic squad. About 220 pounds of dope just walked in the arena.
I like that.
That was kind of my reaction too.
So yeah, I got to say it twice because DK wasn't there. But yeah, I didn't even mind Carson on commentary except for when he spoke.
Okay.
But when he wasn't speaking, he was perfectly fine on commentary.
I can agree with that.
But I think the Hard Way. I don't know. I think the JV Squad's a better name, but whatever. The Hard Way. I think they came across looking better in loss, and I think it was a good championship win. And I'm looking forward to maybe them building up the Hard Way and maybe seeing this match in the future, or again, maybe something more.
And that was this week's episode of Power. Now, real quick, I do want to get to the comments before we leave. Matt says, on that note, is Power just a vehicle for Idol and Markova now? I'm not willing to throw in the towel yet on it being just the Markova and Idol show, but obviously Idol has gotten some prominent victories. I mean, look, Rich Swann is the biggest name he's beaten so far as the television champion. I'm waiting to see, what happens in Tampa. Who's he going to face? Is it going to be like, I don't know. Carl Anderson is going to face Machine Gun for the TV title. That might actually be a fun match, but maybe I shouldn't give him any ideas. I still feel like they're trying to elevate people. I still feel like, they're firmly behind Silas Mason, although I think Tom Latimer, that feud is going to be part of what drives Power over the next few months. So I'm not ready to say that.
What's that from this week?
What's that?
That comment? Because it didn't make sense to me.
I think that comment was based on that Markova had wrestled Shotzi on Power, her last title defense, and now she's going to be wrestling Giselle Shaw on the next episode of Power. And then going back to Brian Idol, who did he beat the last time for the TV title was Rich Swann. So I mean, they're certainly bringing in some bigger names.
Yeah, but Swan had already lost to Alex Taylor by the time they brought him in. I mean, I think we talked about why you're putting Markova in with names. That's probably a smart move. Idol should be losing the TV title. That's just bad booking. But the statement as it was, the show didn't really have anything to do with Idol and Markova. So no, Power's not just a vehicle for Idol and Markova to get over.
Then also Matt said Hardway tagged in ASW or AXW. I've seen them tag in more than just the NWA promotions, but those certainly are two of the places they've been. Double D says zigzag across the floor, shovel and diagonal. What the hell does that mean, Double D? And then Double D says no, Jaden, slime balls rule. So Double D is one of the slime ball fans, and being that they're from New York, I could understand that. And hopefully Double D gets to see them wrestle in Gotham Wrestling, which is happening on February the 24th after the tapings for the NWA, which happened, I think, on February the 21st. So a lot of slime balls for you slime ball fans. You'll be able to see them on both Power and on Gotham Wrestling. Jaden,
Gotham Wrestling.
What's that?
Maybe they'll move permanently to Gotham Wrestling.
Maybe. Well, you never know. We've seen other talents who appeared for the NWA being champions, and then once they appeared in a United Wrestling Network property, we never see them again. So we don't know. I don't know. Jane, I know that we usually dedicate some time for Dog. Do you have something you would like to talk about, or can we tune in next week to have the next announcement?
There's nothing in announcement. Everything is already going on that I've already talked about. Nothing special. I'm working on getting some guests for you, though, to help promote the Rowan event. I messaged them today and hopefully get some responses. So maybe we'll get some more guests for the Alliance Guys podcast.
That would be amazing. That would be great. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for tuning in. And again, thank you for our new members of the Alliance, both Double D and Matt Over Metal, because now they are part of an exclusive group, and there will be exclusive content waiting for those two gentlemen very, very soon. And again, and
as one of your benefits, you get to drink out of the fire hose.
Well, what we'll do is we'll bring some W to the next live event and share some. We'll all get a sip out of the cup, out of the W cup. No, but we will do some more special stuff just for the members. And again, if you guys want to also support the show, you can buy a t-shirt. They are available on the website, alliance-wrestling.com. Go to the merch section. You can buy the shirts. We're going to start coming up with some new designs very, very soon. And of course, if you buy W, use the Alliance blog code, and you could save some money, and we can make some money, and that's always the best.
The Yuzu was pretty good, by the way, if you want to try that, and their lemon hydration's pretty good too.
Paladin was on, and we didn't even see Paladin. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and everyone else in the chat, thanks for hanging out. That's going to do it for us, and until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Oh, and PB Smooth next week on the Alliance Blog podcast. All right, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance Blog. And until next time.